Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, population just over 1,000 normally. Beautiful spot straight out of a Norman Rockwell painting, or maybe a modern version of that. A spot with a long history in road racing. They began competing on the streets of the town in 1950, and everywhere you go, there are reminders of just how tied the area is to the sport. Just up the road is Road America, the scenic 4-mile course hosting the NASCAR Nationwide Series today. Fastenal helping us with our aerial view of this massive track. This area was supposed to catch a piece of that nasty weather system that pounded the Chicago area last night, but it ended up missing us. It's left behind some simply beautiful conditions. High 70s today, a little bit gusty on the wind, and just a gorgeous, gorgeous Wisconsin afternoon for these fans, drivers, and teams to witness this inaugural Nationwide Series race here at Road America. Down on the grid, final moments of preparations for the drivers. Rusty, when you're getting ready to go road racing, everything's got to be just right inside that car, huh?
Oh, it's got to be dead on. It really does. I mean, you got to make sure your brake pedal, your gas pedal's positioned right, everything inside you is right, because you're moving around a lot inside of a road race car. Left, right, shifting, braking. I mean, a lot of stuff happening, and you got to feel comfortable inside that car.
And road racing is hard on the vehicles. I mean, the cars, the brakes, the engine, everything is very, very hard on the car, so you got to make sure the preparation is as good as it can be on the car itself.
And for these drivers today, a little bit of a break. It was 90 degrees here the other day when they had the open test day here on Thursday. So that extra 10, 12 degrees less is going to help with the physicality of this race and the wear on those race cars.
Yeah, it'll definitely help the brake cooling, and that's what a lot of cars and teams are worried about, is the brakes being cool enough.
And the pit crews getting ready to do their thing as well. Carl Edwards' team getting all stretched out, got to be limbered up and ready to go. And some of these teams not working with their normal pit crews here today. A lot of the Cup teams that guys might do double duty on Saturday as well as Sunday, maybe not with the full complement lined up for them. We'll talk more about that in just a little bit. Carl Edwards with the brake bias adjustment there. There's Paul Menard, homestader. Eau Claire, Wisconsin, not far from here, and this would be a big day for Paul if he can turn around and win this one.
I tell you, a lot of these guys right now are thinking at this particular point, yeah, and back to your question, Paul's going to be a great day if he can win. But, you know, as a driver, I'm thinking right now about getting down into turn one. I'm thinking about how are we going to get 43 cars down to a tight turn one and not crash right off the bat.
Yeah, that's going to be a hard thing to happen here. I mean, you can see how long it is down here. There's a lot of rumble strips on each side. Track's very narrow when you get there.
All right, so drivers have strapped in, cinching up the window nets and getting ready to go. Crews cleared the grid, getting their pit equipment all squared away. And now trackside, the Grand Marshal is set to give the command to get this race underway.
Once again, our honorary starter, Willie G. Davidson, Senior Vice President of Harley-Davidson Motorcycles.
Drivers, start your engines.
Fire it up there, man. Fire it up. Fired up. Hey, train. Fire them up.
You can just shut the thing off, Trevor, and let it sit so we're ready to go.
Up there. All right. Go on, wait. 10-4. You guys got a copy down there? Yeah. 10-4, wait a second. 10-4. Just started.
All right, so these are going to be some kind of lengthy pace laps, so we got a minute to tackle a couple of extra topics here. Rusty and Andy, every time we get into one of these road course races, the road ringers that come in, guys that make their name road course racing, but don't have a lot of experience in these stock cars, against the guys that run these stock cars every week but don't have a lot of road course racing in their backgrounds. At a track where they've never competed before, the stock car guys, who has the upper hand?
I really think the stock car guys do it other racetracks, but this particular track, first time they've ever been here, I really think the ringers have got the upper hand. You look at Jacques Villeneuve, he's qualified second. A lot of the ringers are in the top 10. They're doing a fantastic job around here, and they know the problem areas. They know how to keep the car on the track, keep it out of the gravel traps, keep it out of harm's way, and that's what I'm a little concerned about with the regulars, though.
Yeah, and if you look at the Cup Series, the Sprint Cup Series, you'll see that the stats will show the regulars have the advantage. And like you said, Rusty, there are a lot of good, talented road racers here, but Carl Edwards is here, and I really do believe he is going to be the guy to beat. He's on the pole. He won the last road course race we had, so I think he's going to be the guy to beat. Paul Menard's going to also be another regular that'll have a good shot.
Carl Edwards, you mentioned. Carl and Brad Keselowski and Paul Menard running the double duty this weekend, but as it has been in past years, one oval race, one road course. This weekend, it's two road course races. Does that help them somehow?
I really think it does. I think that's a good thing that they're running the road course race out in California and running a road course race here. I think anytime you can get your rhythm going, you're braking, you're downshifting, your lefts, your rights, I think it's a good thing. Look, I realize it's 2 different courses, but I still believe that more practice at these tracks for each one of them is a good thing.
I absolutely agree, and I think having those drivers shifting gears and using the brakes hard, even though the cars are very different, the Cup cars and the Nationwide cars are very different, and the track's obviously different, I still think it's an advantage for these guys to be on road courses at both of these venues.
Now, talking about the ringers, as always in these road course races, a lot of faces in places you're not used to seeing them. In fact, in this particular race, 14 drivers making their first Nationwide Series start of the season, and 7 of them making their first Nationwide Series start ever. Let's talk about some of those drivers now, beginning with Jamie Little. Jamie?
Well, Alan, one of those drivers is Owen Kelly, and just like Cup Series regular Marcos Ambrose, he hails from Tasmania, Australia, making his debut today. Now, I talked to him. He is so excited about this opportunity. Thanks to Dale Earnhardt Jr., though. Jr. brought him over here to the States 2 years ago. He's been racing a late model stock car for Junior Motorsports, but today he hopes to open the eyes of many people to his skills on the road course, making his debut for Baker Curb Racing. Doc?
Thank you, Jamie. You know, last August, Victor Gonzalez, who's driving the 05 today, made history by becoming the first Puerto Rican national to ever drive in a NASCAR race when he finished 14th at Montreal. Now, Victor is hugely popular in Puerto Rico. There are billboards up all over the country. He's been on the front page of many, many newspapers. And this week, Latin music icon Ricky Martin tweeted his million-plus fans and said, watch this young man on ESPN2 and let's pull for one of our own. And on a personal note, by the way, last night, as a surprise, Victor's 69-year-old dad, Victor Gonzalez Sr., there shown in that picture, flew in. He had not seen his son race live for 11 years to watch him race here today. What a special Father's Day weekend for the Gonzalez family. Mike?
Thanks, Doc. Back in 2007, when Brad Coleman ran 17 races with Joe Gibbs Racing, he posted top 10s in 2 of his 3 road course races. That's elevated the excitement level here in the 18 camp. In fact, I spoke with his crew chief, Jason Ratcliffe, this weekend and asked him if the expectations are any different with Coleman behind the wheel than if he had Kyle Busch behind the wheel. To my surprise, he said no. He said the preparations are different, but the goal is the same. They expect to go to victory lane this afternoon as they roll off 4th. Alan?
All right, Michael, thanks. 2 pace laps today, 2 pace laps instead of the normal 3 around this 4-mile track. Makes sense. Drivers setting their pit road speed limit right now. Talked about Paul Menard a minute ago. He is our in-race reporter today. Eau Claire, Wisconsin native, starting 8th at his Ford. We'll talk to Paul as he makes his way around on the pace laps in a moment and take one more refresher look at this track that's going to provide such a challenge to the drivers over the following 200 miles. Already been a busy day here at Road America. Qualifying held about 9:30 local time this morning. Carl Edwards out early and out fast.
Oh, yeah, I mean, he was quick, as fast as lightning. All through practice, he was #1 in practice here on Friday. And then, on Thursday, Cattle Flats to Sears Point. Somebody else was driving his car then.
Lit it up well. His teammate Colin Brown with a good effort. Qualified 3rd quickest in his Roush Fenway number 16 Ford. Young man looking for a big day today. Then Jacques Villeneuve had a pole-winning run going till the last corner.
Yeah, right off this corner, you can see just tried to push it a little bit too hard and it really cost him a lot of momentum up the hill. This was his fastest lap in qualifying, and it may have been a pole run.
So Carl Edwards, you know, it sounds funny to say because he's won a road course race before, but first pole on a road course in his career for Carl Edwards, and he will lead this field to the green flag in just a moment. Look at the starting lineup up at the top of the screen. Meantime, let's show you the rest of the onboard views we'll have to take you around this 4-mile course. Justin Allgaier in the Verizon Wireless car is going to start in 18th position today. Right next to him, Steve Wallace, 5-Hour Energy camera. He is starting in the 17th spot. Matt DiBenedetto going to get some road course experience today. The Nationwide Insurance onboard camera, the Joe Gibbs Racing car, starting 14th. Our in-race reporter, talk to Paul Menard in just a minute. He starts his Menards Ford on the 8th position today. Talked about Colin Brown. He's carrying an onboard camera for us as well today. The Ford camera from the inside of row number 2. On the pole, Carl Edwards. He's got a camera on board his machine, the Fastenal machine. And he's noting the little shifter lever there. We'll talk about that as we go through the day. And a particularly interesting view from Jacques Villeneuve's car.
Oh, this is a really cool shot right here. We can watch his brake pedal, his gas pedal, how he works that. He's a professional road racer, and I'm really excited to see how he's going to do this.
You and all the other drivers, too, when they go back and watch the tape afterwards. All right, Rusty, as they come around on the pace lap, let's see if we can get a hold of our in-race reporter, Paul Menard.
Paul Menard, Rusty Wallace, ESPN. You got us?
Give him another shout there, Rusty. See if we can get him.
Yeah, Paul Menard, Rusty Wallace, ESPN. You got us?
Yeah, Rusty, I got you, bud.
All right, Paul, this is the first time here for the Nationwide Series. A lot of people want to know, from your opinion, how are these Nationwide cars coping with Road America?
Well, the Nationwide cars are pretty fast here. Obviously, we've got a lot of horsepower, got a lot of weight to stop, though, too. It's going to be really hard on brakes. There's 3 huge braking zones going into turn 1, 5, and 12. And we're definitely going to be hard on brakes, but I think our car's pretty good. We've got a fast Mastercraft doors forward, and didn't get the qualifying lap, I hope, but we'll make it up here.
All right, Paul, we've got an ESPN mailbag question. It comes from Helen in Asheville, North Carolina. The question is, how much does your previous experience at Road America benefit you here today?
Well, it helped the first session on Thursday. We're P1, then second session is P2, so it helped for about 10 laps. And these guys are so good, they picked up right away. And you know, Carl's pretty fast up there and got a lot of road racing experience around me here, so it's gonna be a fun race for sure.
All right, Paul, have a great race today. Now, Andy Petrie is going to speak to your crew chief, Matt Pusha.
Hey, Matt, Andy Petrie in the booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you, Andy.
Hey, Matt, we've been talking about strategy, and without tipping your hand, can you give us a little bit of insight on how you're going to run this race today?
Well, without showing you all of our cards here, road course race is a little different here than the typical oval track. You have to play the race backwards and figure where you can make it on fuel mileage. The difference here is this track is so big, you can really get yourself in trouble if you get too aggressive with your fuel mileage. The problem here is you're going to have NASCAR, the way rules are this year, they have 3 attempts at a green white checker, so you have to take that into consideration. So, you know, track position is going to be big, but you don't want to get too aggressive with your strategy. We'll just try and we got a good enough car where we can we're going to be there at the end. Just we got to not take ourselves out of it.
Okay, Matt, I really appreciate you guys talking to us today, and good luck.
Bye, Andy.
All right, so we'll keep an eye on Paul Menard's progress throughout the day. Again, a refresher course, since this is a new track to most NASCAR fans. 4 miles around, 14 turns, Rusty.
Let's take a run around the track here, Alan. First of all, the start-finish line there, fast front straightaway, 165 miles an hour. Down in the turn 1, a good passing zone right here. I expect to see a lot of passes. Hard right turn. After you have to leave turn 1, it's all the way down to turn 3. You're really running downhill. After you leave turn 3, you're setting up for that high-speed back straightaway into turn 5. Now look, folks, this is a hairpin left-hand turn. This corner is very easy to overshoot. You don't want to do that. If you do that, you land out there in the gravel traps. You climb uphill to turn 6. You're in second gear at this point and getting ready to set up to run through turn 7 through 8. And turn 8 is another one of these really good passing zones. It's a hard left-hand turn. You really got to keep it in tight. If you don't, you'll get out in the gravel trap on that one. You don't want to do that. Now, the carousel, kind of slow, I think. About 90 miles an hour around the carousel. You got to keep it in tight. And that really sets you up for a corner called the kink that I really don't like a whole lot. A little bit of a scary corner. A lot of people have had problems in the past, so the guys have really got to be careful coming through the kink. After you leave the kink, it's down the back straightaway into Canada Corner. Corner number 12, they call it. Keep it in tight. Another good place to make a pass. I talked to Ron Fellows. He said, Rusty, this particular spot in the track is my spot that I picked to do most of my passing. You exit turn 13 and then turn 14, and then you climb way uphill, almost 100 foot to the start-finish line, and that's the lap around Road America.
All right, and as we talked about a little while ago, Rusty, passing zones here primarily at the end of the long straights.
Yeah, 165 miles an hour like you talked earlier, getting into turn 1. And Andy, this is a tough corner right here. You got to stay on the track.
Yeah, you see how narrow it is because of these rumble strips. You can see the curbs on each side. You're going down into turn 5. This is another really high-speed entry, and you can get into wheel hop situations. You're going to try to outbrake they're going to try to outbrake each other, and that's where the trouble can start.
And the run down through Kettle Bottoms, as it's called, the kind of kink straightaway out the back. back there to turn 12, Canada corner. Another great place for passing, another great place to get in trouble. Look at all the skid marks throughout the weekend's action here, and we haven't even started the race yet.
You know, one key thing we need to take a look at right here in turn 12 to the left-hand side of your screen right there are all the rumple strips. These strips can really upset the car. They're different than any road track that we go to. This is a very unique style of rumple strips, so you got to be careful right there.
I think these guys are anxious and ready to start this race. This is Carl Edwards on the pace laps here. Get this thing off the track. I want to go.
Ready to get started.
Yes, sir. Green flag when we come back to Road America. Just about set to start the Bucyrus 200, presented by Menards at Road America. Quick look at the facts and figures on the day. 50 laps around the 4-mile course to get you a touch over the 200 miles.
Yeah, you see there, 35 miles an hour down that long pit road. About 2,000 feet they have to go down pit road at 35 miles an hour.
Kind of estimate 17 to 20 laps. It could be longer. It could be up to 22, 23 laps. First time here, we got to find out.
Yeah, we'll see how much these teams will gamble on that pit window as we go.
Here they come up the hill. The pace car is off the pit road entry a good bit down the hill before the start-finish line. Turn 1 going to be interesting.
Yeah, if I was a crew chief for one of these cars that's starting just a few rows back and in the field, I would say leave yourself a little room here getting into turn 1. Don't be so committed that you have no outs if you see some trouble ahead.
Here they come to the line. Starter waiting, giving the signal. Hold it down. Now green flag. The NASCAR Nationwide Series is racing at Road America. Carl Edwards on the break away from Villeneuve. Brad Coleman slides into second in the 18. Villeneuve is third. Colin Brown fourth. That's McDowell in the 81 and Gone in the 62 for fifth.
Excellent job of give and take in turn 1 and 2 right there for the whole field.
Yeah, now we got the long back straightaway down into turn 5. They're going to have to do it again because they're running the same speed down this high-speed back straightaway here, about 165.
Villeneuve for second. Here. That's Villeneuve in the 32 under Brad Coleman. Back to second spot.
Now see, they get out in those ripple strips. They got to get off of those things. That really upsets the car over there. And the goal for these drivers is to keep the car on the track and try not to use these strips as much.
Yeah, one of the reasons you don't want to get on those things too hard is because it does cost you grip, especially rear grip. When you get those rear tires on those bumps, you lose a lot of that traction you need to get off these corners.
Down to turn 8.
Now this is the other passing zone we talked about, Alan, early in the show. You'll see some passing into turn 8. Looks like these guys are all minding their P's and Q's right now. Now into this popular carousel corner.
This is a flat, downhill, kind of off-camber corner to the right. It's almost like an oval track corner like at Martinsville, but it's the other way. And you carry a lot of speed down the hill now into this corner, which is a very high-speed, dangerous corner.
And the kink. Somebody scuffed some tires off to the right. Was that Patrick Long in the 90? Might have been Brown in the 16.
We talk about Patrick Long, another road racing ace. He drives for Team Porsche off and on. Actually drove for Penske. Very good in that number 90 car. You see him coming into frame right now. Ron Fellows right behind him there.
That was Long. It was looking to make a move to the inside and then fell back in line through Canada corner.
See, Villeneuve hangs his tire right off that. Oh, he got another car off the track just a little bit. See what that costs you.
27 is Kelly, the Australian, in his nationwide debut. It did cost him a spot. Paul Menard went through.
You know, people talked all week long, Alan, where can you pass around this racetrack? You got the regular spots, turn 1, 5, and 12, but if somebody makes a mistake, like Aaron Kelly did, or Owen Kelly did there, you can see how Paul Menard was able to overtake him.
Kelly going to take a peek back to the inside. Not quite. Those two drivers racing for 7th and 8th spots.
You know, there's been a lot of concern coming into this track about what the brakes are going to do. You know, a lot of brake zones here, Andy. They can really overheat the brakes. I mean, I think the judgment is still out. What's going to happen?
One thing they do have is long straightaways to cool the brakes, but they go to these corners at such high speed that the brake pads wear a lot. I think that's what the teams are worried about more than anything is the brake pad wear, because they do have a lot of cooling time as they go down these long straightaways.
And the crew chiefs that I talked to, Andy, were making this decision over these last couple of days. They said, you know, if there's going to be a lot of cautions, we could be really aggressive with a stopping power power of our brakes. But if the race goes long green, we're going to need brakes that are more marathon-ish, that can stand up to the punishment for the long run.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about, that pad wear. We got a car off the track here, Justin Allgaier in the grass. Looks like he's no power as well.
It actually looks like...
Can't go anywhere. The drive shaft is...
Uh-oh, yeah, he's got some major problems here.
10-4.
I'll tell you, road course racing is so hard on equipment. And the driver has to really take care of it. It's a technique that you have to not be hard on these things. And if you miss a gear or you just happen to miss that downshift a little bit, it can really wreak havoc on that drivetrain.
Oh, Andy, look at this. The track bar mount in the back of his car. Folks, you see the wheels going back and forth.
Yeah, that's not even the, that's not what we thought it was. That's part of the suspension.
Yeah, he's broke a suspension component.
Yeah.
Listen to this.
On your left again.
This car has broke a track bar and it's caused a drive shaft to fail also in the car.
Justin Allgaier 17th at the time. He's third in the Nationwide Series Championship. You see he's come to rest just at the exit of turn number 5. And as yet, we're still under green because this is such a long track. Officials are waiting to see if he's going to be able to get that car moving or not. Now the caution flag comes out as the leader comes to the start-finish line. So full course yellow to remove Justin Allgaier's car at lap number, as we complete lap number 3. And that is going to hurt. Wasn't it Montreal last year when Allgaier had so much trouble in the rain and said after the race that they could take these rain tires and put them where the sun don't shine, or something to that effect?
Yeah, road courses haven't been too good to Justin Allgaier.
Man, I'll tell you, this is a tough deal for Allgaier. He was fastest in practice yesterday for a long, long time. His car was really good. He was actually following Jacques Villeneuve. I talked to Roger Penske this morning. Roger said, man, he really helped Justin a lot, but talk about crushing to the points right now.
Yeah.
This kid was way up in the point standings, and now he's going to fall big time.
So wondered if we're going to see anybody gamble and come to pit road to top off the fuel under this caution. It's a little early. I don't know. We'll find out. Carl Edwards, a 2-second lead in the early laps erased by the first full course caution 3 laps in. The Bucyrus 200 at Road America for the NASCAR Nationwide Series under caution after just a couple of laps of the 50 scheduled. Justin Allgaier, third in the championship, running 17th at the time with trouble heading into turn number 5. Have a listen.
That's the drive shaft going up against the drive shaft loop. Is a containment ring that goes around the drive shaft, and when that lateral support rod, that track bar mount breaks, it allows that to just go side to side, and all that stuff starts crashing.
It sounded like his downshifts were fine. It sounded like the motor was running just fine. And as he went in that corner, it loaded up, and it broke that thing.
Check out this, some of the Nationwide Series regulars that just are having trouble finding their way on road courses, some with more luck, some with more experience than others, but figuring out how to do this is part of what you got to do.
And I'll tell you, Justin Allgaier has done a good job of figuring out how to road race. He was very good in practice yesterday. Talked to his crew chief, Chad Walter, and he said they've been to a lot of road course test sessions, and he's getting better and better. They were going to have a good run today. They felt good about it. Looks like they just had a part failure there in that track bar mount, somewhere in that system. And like I said, these lefts and rights and all these bumps and curbs are hard on that suspension.
I want to talk about these curbs too, because these curbs are unlike any that we see at Sears Point, Watkins Glen, Montreal, or even Mexico City. They're unique, and they're very, very rough. If you get on top of them, that's not one of them there, but it looks a little bit like that. I mean, there's another series of them that the way they're shaped, they start out very shallow, and as they go out, they get deeper and deeper, and it really will jackhammer the pieces and parts in a car right in half. You and I went out the track the other day. I think we were both amazed what they look like.
Yeah, we were in the pace car, 2 different pace cars. I was following Rusty. He would go off to kind of demonstrate that to the passengers he had with him, and the tires would really jump off the ground about a foot, it seemed like, when you went across those rumble strip.
Yeah, it was quite an adventure riding in those pace cars, I can tell you that, with these two driving. There's the opening to pit road, and none of the front runners diving in, so we'll take a break. Under caution for the first time in the Bucyrus 200, Carl Edwards out to the early lead over Villeneuve, Coleman, Colin Brown, and Brendan Gaughan. ESPN's ALNL Showdown continues on ESPN tomorrow and Monday night. First, Manny Ramirez returns to Boston. On ESPN's Sunday Night Baseball at 8 Eastern, the Dodgers take on Kevin Youkilis and the Red Sox. Then on ESPN's Monday Night Baseball at 10 Eastern, Derek Jeter and the Yankees face the Arizona Diamondbacks. Both games part of the ALNL Showdown presented by State Farm and available on ESPN3.com. Under the first caution in the Bucyrus 200 at Road America, under this caution flag, we've had one driver change. The 24 car back on track now with Chris Cook aboard the machine. Eric McClure, the car's regular driver, had some surgery earlier in the week and has gotten out of the car under this first caution. And Cook, a veteran road racer and driving instructor, has gotten aboard.
Yeah, I'd say that'd be a good pick to put in the car. He's a talented road racer, so this should be a good move for them to get out here and get a good finish.
Justin Allgaier's car stopped on track. The reason for this caution, Jamie's caught up with him.
Well, they're watching patiently here, waiting for the 12 car to get brought down to you guys. Justin, what exactly did you feel and where did the problem begin?
Well, going through the kink, I got over onto the rumble strips and got the grass just a little bit. Unfortunately, just the jolt of it broke the track bar, and I knew something was wrong. I couldn't exactly tell, and the spotters were trying to figure out what was going on and felt it moving around, and unfortunately, I finally broke the drive shaft, I think, and ended up getting us stopped. But these guys are going to do a great job. Verizon Dodge guys do a great job every week. Unfortunately, they don't know where to bring the car, so they've been driving around in the pits here, and we're waiting for it back. But hopefully we can salvage some points out of the day and have a good race.
Now, they're bringing the car back here. All the guys have all their tools ready to go. What is the plan of attack?
Just basically get under there and make sure that we get all the damage fixed, but make sure that there's nothing else that's going to cause us any problems later on in the race. And we've already had injury. Let's not add insult to it as well. So try to get it fixed the best we can and get back out there and run as many laps as we can. All
right, Justin Allgaier sits third in points, Alan. He needs to salvage every point possible.
Not going to be a good day there for Justin Allgaier. So while they bring his car to the attention of his crew, we get set to go back racing in rumble strips. You talked about, Rusty, how they're different here than in a lot of other places. See if we can get a look at that.
Yeah, let's take a look at this right here. See how they're very shallow out there by the racetrack, and the farther you get out, they get very deep, almost 3 inches. And I'm telling you, I drove pace cars around here and actually drove a historic road race car up here 2 weeks ago. And when you get on those things, it really jolts the car around. And as you can tell from what Justin said, he got on those. It actually broke the track bar. They were so severe, and he's out of the race now. He's only at lap 1. Lap 2 it happened.
Those are filling shakers. Shake the fillings out of your teeth if you get on them too much.
Yeah, shake everything else too. So that's not a good thing.
All right, pace car going to head off. Carl Edwards, the leader. Among those who came down pit road, Jason Leffler. That time, report up from pit road is that the alternator had become disconnected.
That's the problem they need to get a hold of, because they were leading the race at Charlotte with an alternator problem. Casey Kane driving the car. That's something they need to get fixed.
And we go racing with Villeneuve on the outside of Edwards.
Well, you can tell these guys just want to get to the inside edge of the track. They fight for that position, because if you get hung on the outside, sometimes you just can't make that corner. You get out in those rumble strips and upsets the car.
They're able to run too wide through that corner, even as narrow as it is. They did a good job.
Brendan Gaughan around the outside of Brad Coleman for the 4th spot. 62 on the move early. He had a good car in practice.
Yeah, he did. I talked to him in the garage area, and he's raced a lot at this track, different series. He's also even run, they used to have an off-road track over here where he ran an off-road truck at events. So a lot of racing here at Road America.
Coleman coming back on him on the inside. That's turn 5.
And Hornaday gets hung out there in the 33 car.
Boy, it's hard to get traction up this hill. A lot of the guys spin the tires really bad. Getting into turn 6 right there, trying to keep it inside. It's a tough corner.
Off into the gravel trap. Who is it in the cloud of smoke? Up.
He's coming back on the track, though.
Not often you get into the gravel trap and get through it. Maybe that off-road experience coming in handy.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Good job for Brendan.
I tell you, that's amazing. He got that thing out of that gravel trap and on the track, and it's had a little right front damage, it looks like, but not too bad.
So he went from racing for 5th spot back to about 10th, it looks like, in line for the 62.
Yeah, that's still really good to go in those gravel pits and get out without getting stuck.
Check that. That's a lot farther back than 10th. He's back about 19th in line, Doc.
Yeah, you mentioned, by the way, his history of off-road racing. He wants to stay on the road here today.
All 4 off, but he said everything's still good, Frank.
He told us he had been here in a Barber competition car back in 1992, but in the practice session yesterday, he said, I'm having a hard time with the right-hand turns here, and they made a minimal adjustment, Rusty, with a little bit of nose weight, and suddenly the car just reacted so well that he went out and qualified in the top 10. A small movement of nose weight in the front of that car made all the difference in the world.
Yeah, Doc, that could be a real key change right there, because you want to get all the weight you can to the back of these cars to maintain forward bite and things like that, but if you get too heavy in the back, it can get real tail happy. It'll feel like a big pendulum action on the back of the car. So it looks like they went forward just a little bit with that weight, kind of settled that car down.
See that 32 back end dancing?
Well, you can see just how much he's leaning on those brakes getting in the corner. That's what these road racers, these pure road racing drivers do well, is get on the brakes, get the most out of the stopping power of the car. And you can see right there Jacques Villeneuve getting all there was into turn 1.
On board.
No, I love this shot. You can see just his technique on the throttle and the brake pedal. See the upshifts. All they do is just burp that throttle.
See
no clutch at all. You can see right here going to the brake. Pop the gas and downshift.
Trouble. Tim George Jr. off the course. Getting it back going.
Got 4 coming by you. Jump in right behind the 89. There you go.
Got some big damage on the right front fender of that 21, it looks like.
Yeah, it looks like that's on the exit of turn 3. Heading down to the long back straightaway, turn 5, and he got off right there. And like you said, Alan, a little damage on that right front fender.
Flat. Right front flat.
And back up front.
And the thing I wonder about these road race ringers, I call them, Jacques Villeneuve, we all know he's very good. But I wonder if he actually knows how hard you can push these brakes on these 3,400-pound stock cars and get away with it.
Well, he's probably raced these cars enough now to kind of get a feel for that. And they did a lot of practicing, did a test session on Thursday. So a lot of teams have got a good indication on how much these pads are going to wear over the course of the race.
And they did have some struggles with the brakes on this car in the test session on Thursday as they tried to find the limit.
Well, that's what you do. You go out there and push the thing, everything it's got, and try to find the limit. And that's how you tune the car. You find these places in practice. Doc, what did they learn?
Well, you know, Andy, what they did, the brake engineers came and told the team here that Jacques Villeneuve uses more rear brake by comparison than any other driver in the field. And Jacques told them, said, look, you know, in IndyCar racing and in Formula One, I liked having more rear brake. It helped me control the wheel up, and it also helped me turn the car. I use more rear brake to help me turn the car, but I also brake earlier on those high-speed turn left and right-handers. So I'm wondering if using more rear brake will hurt him in the long run here throughout the afternoon.
Well, a driver that can stand a lot of rear brake will actually, it'll take a lot of pressure off the front brake. So that's a good thing if he can stand that and not have any problems with wheel hop or sliding the rear wheels getting in the corner. It can take a little bit of that wear and load off the front brakes.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, it'll help the brake problem, no doubt about that, but it really does put you into danger zone. If you start locking the rear wheels up, turning left or right, that can spin the car out. And I've seen many drivers try to put too much rear brake in, and that happens. And also, it starts wheel hopping when you do that also.
You see the front two have moved away from third place by about 3 seconds. Edwards and Villeneuve running 1 and 2. This is where Tim George Jr. got the damage and got off into the grass at his turn 3, and he went for a ride. No caution there. We're under green. Beautiful day at Road America. Looking down with our aerial coverage brought to you by Fastenal. High 70s on a wonderful June afternoon here in Wisconsin, and a great day for racing for the NASCAR Nationwide Series inaugural visit to this 4-mile course. Look at the people, look at the cars.
It's a huge crowd. I mean, the people are just everywhere around this racetrack. The track is so big, and everywhere you look, there's just piles of people. So I'll tell you, no doubt about one thing, it's a real popular event up here in Wisconsin.
Carl Edwards and Jacques Villeneuve have moved away from the pack by almost 3.5 seconds on third place Brad Coleman. Now, we've just completed the 8th lap and beginning to work lap number 9, and let's talk a little strategy, Andy.
Yeah, you see if you can go 20 laps up to the end of that pit window. You could make your first pit stop as early as lap 10 and still be able to make your last pit stop. Now, that last pit stop is absolutely the most important one. You want to try to make that one as early as possible in case that caution comes out, because if you get caught on the racetrack and you have to make a pit stop after everybody else, it's going to put you behind them. And so you want to try to make that pit stop as early as possible. So we could expect to see some of these guys coming in for the first time in the next lap or two.
Little farther back from the lead, Paul Menard running 5th in the 98. Michael McDowell in the 81 is 6th. Patrick Long in the 90 is 7th. And then behind them, side by side, that's the Australian Kelly in the 27, diving inside Ron Hornaday.
Yeah, Hornaday's struggling just a little bit. See right there, getting ready to lose another spot to Ron Fellows.
Yeah, this is a tough part, getting to turn 6 right now if you're on the outside like Ron is. He does a good job, gets out of gas, gets behind Fellows, because you saw earlier what happened to Brendan Gaughan. He tried to go there double file. He got out in the gravel straps. Jamie, 27 car, what do you got on him?
Yeah, Owen Kelly holding a pretty steady wheel as of now. He just came on the radio a few moments ago, though, and said the 33 car is holding me up. He says the car is pretty good. He just needs a little more front grip. The crew is planning on him coming into pit about lap 12.
Doing a nice job so far.
He really is. This 27 team is really trying to do all they can to continue in this series. They've got a good road racer behind the wheel today, and a good top finish will help them do that.
Get a little bit farther back. Seven car, J.R. Fitzpatrick, 23 there in the frame. Alex Kennedy, youngster out of New Mexico. And there's Brendan Gaughan. Remember, he got off course a little bit earlier, running in the top 10. That 62 car, now back to 20th spot, Rusty.
Yeah, he's back. He doesn't want to be back that far, but he knows he's got to get the lap 10 or 12, get inside that pit window, get back down, and get the car back in shape. I do believe we'll have some cautions that'll close his field back up, and he'll probably be okay, but just don't be impatient right now and get crazy behind the wheel. He got off course. You really got to control your emotions at this point.
99 car, Trevor Bayne, his first Nationwide Series road course race, period. That's a lot to learn.
Doing a good job. You see all these cars running in a line, and you heard we heard Owen Kelly saying he was being held up by Ron Hornaday. If you're inside your pit window, right now would be a good time to make a pit stop, because you're not going to lose a lap, and you can get in a part of the racetrack where you don't have a lot of traffic and make good lap times and not abuse the car.
You know, you're talking about your pit window, Andy. We all know if you pit at lap 10 and everything goes good, and these cars can run 20 laps on fuel, it'll work. But they're all concerned to me about that green-white checker. 3 attempts at the end of the race. So, I mean, we might see guys 12, 13, even as late as lap 14 hit pit road, because you and I kind of estimated that we think these guys started with about 15 gallons of gas in these cars because they didn't get to refuel after qualifying.
Check on the championship leader, Brad Keselowski, trying to pick his way through the field. Took the green flag in 13th spot, working on Stephen Wallace there to try and get back to 13th. Right now, Brad running in 14th position in that 22.
Yeah, I think Brad Keselowski is making, just making good decisions. He's being very conservative. This is just a race he needs to survive and not beat himself.
Yeah, you got to believe that. That's absolutely correct, because like we talked earlier in the broadcast, what's the key around this track? Stay on the course. Don't tear your car up. And I really think they're anticipating that first pit stop and just logging laps right now and trying to feel the car out and not make any mistakes.
Yeah, I talked to Brad here on Thursday during the test day before he went off to Sonoma to do the Sprint Cup qualifying yesterday, and he talked about this day being being about common sense for him. Just got to keep the car on the pavement, let the race play out for a while, let the strategy play out for a while, and right now he's back in traffic where that's easier said than done.
Well, you'd be surprised how many spots you can gain by just being conservative and staying on the track. Yeah. Because these other guys are going to beat themselves, and you can just take their spot as they do it, and it's not a bad way to make ground in the make headway up in the field. Just let the other guys make the mistakes.
You know, we talk about staying on the racetrack, and to some people that might think, hey, that's pretty simple. I mean, it's a no-brainer. We know we're supposed to stay on the track, But when you're running this fast, 165 like they are now, into turn 1, and you're downshifting and you're locking the wheels up, trust me, folks, it's hard to stay on the track.
Well, I know, Rusty, you were talking to your son Steven here in the 66 about slowing down. And his natural instinct as a race driver, and anybody's instinct as a race driver, is to pass that car in front of him.
Oh, yeah, and I told him, I said, you're going to tear your transmission up, you're going to burn brakes up. He said, Dad, it seems like the smoother I am, the slower I am. I said, well, he said, I got to attack this track to get the car to run fast. I said, you know what? It's not going to survive with you doing that. You're going to have to take care of it. And, you know, don't wish any bad luck on anybody, but we did see a problem with Allgaier early because of those rumble strips.
First move to pit road is Michael Annett, and he does that on the 11th lap, 10 completed. And Mike, the Annett car, the first one in.
And it's been an uphill battle for this team all day long. They had to go to the rear of the field to begin with for making an unapproved adjustment after the impound. They had to replace a window brace. What they're going to do here is change 4 tires, take on fuel. They've also made an air pressure adjustment. Otherwise, Michael Annett pretty happy with his race car as they go to work now on the right side of that car. Remember, pitting backwards, the footwork a little bit different, everything a little bit different. The stop a little bit slower than normal, but it was clean. Annett's away.
Andy, you were a tire changer earlier in your career. How difficult is that to turn everything around for a day?
It is difficult. I mean, what it does is it throws off all these things are just rhythm. You get so used to doing everything a certain way, and when you come to a road course, it's backwards. You really have to think. You have to slow down, and the pit stops are just going to take a little bit longer. I know these teams that do a lot of practice sessions to try to get in the rhythm the weeks leading up to these road courses, but you don't want to do too much of that because it'll mess you up on the other track.
Yeah,
so.
when you go back next week. Watching here if Carl Edwards makes the move to the right to come to pit road. He does not. Hearing they were considering it on this lap, but Edwards has stayed on the track.
We talk about Edwards. I've been looking at his lap times right now. He's putting like 0.6 of a second on these guys in second place, third place, fourth place every single lap. That car is a specialized road race car. He told me on Thursday that this is the same car that he won Montreal with, and he really likes the way this car handles. It is showing with the speed.
He ought to like it.
Yeah.
Looking good so far.
I think it's showing that some of these cars really are stretching it to go 20 laps.
Trouble here on the final corner. That's Antonio Perez. There goes Chris Cook around. Perez drops some fluid. Yeah, look at the fluid streaming across the track as that 87 car went across the track onto pit road. And that is going to put us under yellow for a second time.
Oh, man, he's got big problems with this 87 car. See, he's still got a big trail of oil coming out of it.
See the window net down. Looks like he knows there's a
Sure you cut it off.
Major malfunction here.
There, Brendan Gaughan, I don't know if he made it. He may have made it on pit road before the caution came out. Doc?
And they are so excited and pumped that they got that big break. They had gone by the light, as you said, Andy. So now they go come in and get to service the car, take their time, make an air pressure adjustment, put 4 fresh Goodyears on, add some Sunoco fuel to get it full. So they had planned this pit stop here on coming on to lap 12 after completing lap 11, and they got a big time break.
Oh, that's a huge break, Doc. They're going to be able to make up a lot of ground right here. Some of that ground they lost earlier in the race when he ran off the track. This made up for every bit of that.
Was it our buddy Ken Schrader used to say, if you could figure out when the cautions are going to happen and pit just before them?
Just right before. That's what they did. They pitted right before the caution came out.
Free stop, buddy. You'll be leading when everybody pits now.
Yeah, that's Brad Parrott, the crew chief. He knows the deal. He says they'll be leading after everybody makes their next pit stop, and you'll see that happen here after we go green.
Antonio Perez had an engine failure on Thursday here during the open test day. Something not too good has happened underneath that 87 car again now, and a stream of what appears to be oil from where he went off the course in turn 14 across the track and up the pit lane has put us under the full course yellow for a second time. Now, Andy, on the strategy front, let's just talk about this 60 car, the leader. Do they stop under the yellow?
Well, if they're inside their pit window, they would probably make a pit stop right now because there hasn't been a lot of cars that pitted under green, so it's not going to cost them terribly if they come down pit road now. The ideal thing would have been to pit just like Brendan Gaughan did just before the caution came out if they were in their window.
But you hit the key there. Because not many guys have made the green flag pit stop yet, they'll be fine.
They'll be okay if they make it right here.
Now, you talk about luck. Gaughan coming down pit road, just crossed under the entry of pit road on the track, and the caution flag falls. I mean, wow. You have a big problem, and now it's perfect for you.
And Michael Annett, another car that made a pit stop under green, he'll line up in front of these cars that do pit under caution.
NASCAR confirming, by the way, that Brendan Gaughan is good with his pit stop. He was past the point he needed to be when the caution was called. So the 62 car, the 15 of Michael Annett, they're going to have great track position once everybody else pits, as we expect they will, under this yellow flag. So coming back around now up to turns 13 and 14. This is the part of the track where the trouble happened a little while ago. You see the tunnel, the access tunnel, the infield going underneath, and here's the 14th and final corner, and you see how the 87 car had his trouble, went straight off, and then back across the track onto the pit lane.
And you see all that oil right there because of it, right across the racetrack. And that particular corner, turn 14, you got to hit that corner right, because that's what picks up the big speed up the front straightaway. Here we come.
Now 35 miles an hour plus the 5-mile-an-hour buffer that NASCAR gives you on a pit road that's over 2,000 feet long.
And starts about right there at the red line.
You saw right there at the bridge is where pit road speed starts. Now you can see just how far it is before you start getting to the pit stalls.
All right, first pit stops of the day for most everyone on the track. Jamie's got Colin Brown's pit.
And Ricky Byers making the call for the first time for this team. He says first gear, 4,000 RPM down pit road. The call is 4 tires. They're going to take the tape off the front. He wants an air pressure adjustment, fill it up with Sunoco fuel. Remember, pitting backwards, first time for these teams this time around. He says the car is pretty good. Let's go over to Mike Massaro.
There's a different team pitting the 18 car this week than normal. It's actually Kyle Busch's Truck Series team on loan. They're going to make a 4-tire change to Brad Coleman and take on fuel. Car's pretty good, Doc.
Jacques Villeneuve said the car is great. He said he's just being very conservative with brakes. No changes in the 32 car. A little bit free on the right-hand turns for Carl Edwards. 4 tires, but no adjustments there. He was the leader and will be the first car off of pit road.
Our nationwide insurance race off of pit road. Owen Kelly gaining a spot. Fellows, Hornaday. How about Steve Wallace up 4 on the pit stop?
They got a fast pit crew. They've been practicing really hard. And look at Brad Keselowski, 4 spots for him also. We know the Penske guys are fast.
But a handful of cars have stayed on the track under this yellow. We'll reset the restart order for you in a minute. You know, you put those cameras out at some of these corners for the neat view. Sometimes they don't last long. I wonder if the boss is going to send you a bill for that, Russ.
Probably so. Just got a haircut, didn't it?
Yeah. The 2010 FIFA World Cup continues on ESPN and ABC tomorrow. First on ESPN at 7 Eastern, Slovakia takes on Paraguay. And at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, it's Italy against New Zealand. Then on ABC at 2 Eastern, it's Brazil versus the Ivory Coast. The 2010 FIFA World Cup on ESPN and ABC tomorrow. The World Cup available on TV, online, and on your phone. Go to ESPNsoccernet.com, easy for me to say, for more information. How about the end of that U.S. game yesterday? Wow. We look down on Road America for the Bucyrus 200 as it's under caution for the second time in the race. Caution coming out when the 87 of Antonio Perez drops some oil on the track. This is not the first NASCAR race at this track. Back in the track's second season of 1956, they ran a race for what is now the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Tim Flock won the race, an event that was peppered with some rain on that day, the reports are. There is the checkered flag and the happy winner celebrating afterwards. It was not a commercial success. They didn't sell a lot of tickets that day, so they didn't have him come back. And now we advance quite a few years later, about 55 years to be specific. And they've got quite the crowd here today for this Bucyrus 200.
Yeah, they just called the green flag off. They're going to keep it under caution because they still have some oil on the track back there from that 87 car incident.
So while they continue the cleanup, we'll take a moment to talk about Wisconsin. What a great racing state, huh? So many great short tracks around the area and a lot of great Wisconsin racing drivers over the years who made their name in NASCAR. Bottom couple in today's field, Paul Menard and Tony Ave made his name in the Trans Am Series. Just some of the notables from Wisconsin as we're here in Elkhart Lake for today's Bucyrus 200. Still working the caution here at Road America. Verizon Wireless customers, text CHAMPION to 43776 for exclusive Champion Chats content from the NASCAR Now Roundtable experts. 1 to go signal being given right at your screen there out on the backside of the course, so we'll get the restart this time by. They finished cleaning up the oil down here in turns 13 and 14. This is Blake Hoagland, the front tire carrier.
All right, boys,
on
here
the
we go.
32 car on this first set of pit stops for Jacques Villeneuve.
See how everything's backwards. He's still going to the opposite side of the car first. Outside tires being changed, coming around to the inside. Pretty clean stop.
There's some tight quarters down there. So the 32 showing 7th for this restart as we get ready to go. There's Blake carrying our crew cam for today, Iowa native. Now, Ron Fellows on that first set of pit stops had a little bit of trouble, Doc.
Yeah, the 88 car coming on the pit road a moment ago was coming in, and Mike Oxendine, who carries the rear tire, was coming out across the wall, and Fellows nicked the tire, didn't get him, but got the tire and damaged the grill and part of the hood on his Chevrolet. They were going to try to bring him back in, but now they've called and told him to stay on the racetrack because they're coming down to take the green flag again.
That damage going to affect the cooling on the car?
It looks like it could. I mean, you see that grill up there. It could have damaged some of the ductwork, and so I'm sure that's what they're concerned about.
I actually wonder if you get air underneath the hood right there and really cause the car not handle good, cause a lot of lift on the front end, because it really has killed the aerodynamics. You see under the Chevrolet logo right there, that air is going to get underneath that thing. And Andy, like you said, maybe it's going to hurt the cooling too. Looks like it's flattened the grill out also.
Yeah, but effectively that just closes the opening. When you take that opening and take it from, from horizontal or from vertical to horizontal, then you lose the opening completely. And that's, I'm sure they're really concerned about that. They're going to have to address it at some point.
Pace cars off. Jason Leffler, Mike Bliss, Morgan Shepherd did not pit.
I see one problem with the lineup right here. You got Michael Annett lining up behind Carl Edwards. He did not make a caution flag stop right there. He should actually be in front of the cars that pitted under caution, being Carl Edwards being one of those.
Edwards lined up inside of row number 2 for this restart as we go back racing. Everybody cleanly through. Mike Bliss getting shuffled aside a little bit. Edwards in the 60 with pressure on Leffler in the 38.
If you remember, Jason Leffler made a pit stop early with that alternator problem. That's why he stayed out right there and has the lead.
But Jason Leffler, I'll tell you what, he can really learn something from Carl Edwards. Edwards was really sailing around this racetrack, and yesterday Justin Allgaier followed Jacques Villeneuve, picked up 2 seconds, just getting tutored by him.
Here he goes, turn 5.
And Brendan Gaughan getting forced out wide.
Straight off now. Leave these guys behind.
Oh, man, that is such a bottleneck down there.
That's a tough corner. It's very, very tight. I mean, almost a hairpin left-hand turn. And see the guys coming in at turn 8 right now. Another good place to pass, getting at that corner. Into the carousel.
Yep, Annett getting shuffled wide a little bit there in the 15.
Oh, excuse me. That's into turn 8 right here. Now they're getting ready to get in the carousel. A lot of turns here.
Brendan Gaughan shuffled. Paul Menard through. 98 car up to 4th. Jason Leffler led on the restart. He's been shuffled back to 5th now, about a half a lap in. Mike?
And much of the story this weekend revolves around the crew chief situation with the 38, Alan. There has been, shall we say, a little bit of instability there. Earlier in the year, Scott Zipadelli was let go. He was replaced by Tripp Bruce. Tripp Bruce right now serving a suspension. Meanwhile, the guy getting the opportunity, a guy who was released at Roush Racing about a month ago, that being Eddie Pardue. Pardue, the guy rolling the dice here, electing to stay out. You mentioned, Andy, the alternator problem early on. They're trying to reclaim some of that track position they lost because of that early pit stop. Pardue signaled to me, you should expect them to stop somewhere around lap 22 to 23.
Yeah, they just have to get creative with that strategy now. They won't be on the same strategy as everyone else, but sometimes that can work in your favor if the cautions happen to fall right.
16 car of Colin Brown got a wheel off there. in that 14th and final corner. That's going to allow Owen Kelly in the 27 to go through, and Brendan Gaughan going to try and repass Brown, who passed him back at Canada corner.
Oh boy, he did a good job too. Colin Brown did, getting around Brendan Gaughan. Brendan tried to make a pass, actually got held up a little bit, and Colin just zipped right past him. I did a textbook job.
I can see that 88 car ducking out of line on these straightaways, try to get some air to that grill where they've got it mashed in. Don't know how his water temperature looks, but he's trying to get a little extra air to it.
Now, there's one thing we do know. There's no way the car's cooling any better. It's got to be getting hotter. Just how much can these engines stand?
Paul Menard, man, he is on the move. That was a great move on brakes right there under that high braking zone to try to make a move on Villeneuve.
He wasn't giving in, though.
Nope. Drivers have to.
Drivers tell me one of the toughest things is exiting turn 5 and not having too much wheel spin, getting up to the top of 6. It's just a big drag race. Talk about a drag race. It's a drag race down this straightaway now into turn 8. But I talked about a good passing zone. Doc, what about Paul Menard? What's he saying?
You see him moving in on Jacques Villeneuve. Now, they made a major swing at this car during that pit stop a moment ago, Rusty, and Paul said, I need more side bite and more drive off. And since there's only going to be 2 stops probably today, they decided to go ahead and pull a rubber out of both rears, and they made a major air pressure adjustment. Matt Pucia is saying, let's just do it now and see if it has any effect at all, and apparently it's helped Paul quite a bit.
Yeah, it really has lit this car up, Doc. I mean, he is really putting the pressure on Villeneuve.
Down through Kettle Bottoms, headed toward Canada corner. Let's see if he goes after him under braking here. Going over with a little bit of a protective line.
Looks like the car's handling better now, staying tighter inside the corner, especially getting into turn 12 like you said. Now when you exit turn 13, a lot of drivers right there say they really spin the tires and need more grip there too.
When you got somebody filling your mirror up like this, Rusty, does it force you into making a mistake as many corners as you have at this track?
Oh, absolutely. And it'll make you overdrive the corners. I mean, it's happened to me many times where I try to run faster to get away from the guy, and I overcook the corner, lock the wheels up. The guy drives right past me because of my mistakes.
Saw the 32 car get a little wide off that last corner, drop the wheel in the dirt, throw the big cloud up in Menard's face. What's that like from behind the wheel?
Now, when you see the clouds and you can't see through the clouds, that's when you got a problem.
Farther back in the pack.
Well, I can tell everybody just really minding their business out there right now, not getting too aggressive. And I expect when the brakes start wearing and we get later in this race, that's when the things are really going to heat up. We're going to see some off-track excursions and some problems.
And that 15 car for Michael Annett has really fallen since the restart. He was up in the top 6 on the restart, and he's back now running in the 24th position.
You never know what the problems are. I mean, a lot of these guys made air pressure changes for grip. Could have went the wrong way. Because, Andy, you and I talked about it the other day. This is a big fact-finding mission for everybody here. They don't know what they need right now.
One guy that does know what he needs is Paul Menard. He's been here a lot. He's from Wisconsin, raced on this track a lot, and his experience is showing a little bit right here. You can see he has one of the better cars. I think if he could get by this 32, he could put some pressure on Carl Edwards.
One of NASCAR's regional touring series in past years was the Remax Challenge Series. They ran a race here on this track in 2001. Paul Menard won it.
There is no doubt about one thing. Paul Menard is a really good road racer. The other problem is, though, for Paul Menard, so is Jacques Villeneuve in front of him.
Well, Paul's got to find a way around that 32 car if he wants to chase down Carl Edwards, because Carl is once again, just like he did in the first couple runs of the race, he's put some distance on the 32.
He's got a comfortable lead. He's got, like I said, a couple seconds right there, a second and a half. That's enough to keep from getting worried like with somebody in your mirror, like we said. Like Villeneuve has got this mirror full of Paul Menard.
You know, just about every single race, an owner has a special car.
Carl ran off the track just a little bit right there on exit.
Yeah, he's really using it up. I was about to say, every race, somebody's got a better car than anybody, but right now, Carl has definitely got the strongest car. He came by that time a half a second faster than Jacques Villeneuve and also Paul Menard, so he's a guy that's just got to keep it on the course, not make mistakes. He can win this race, no doubt about that.
So Edwards leading by 2.2 seconds over this race for second place. It's another almost 4 seconds back to fourth place. Owen Kelly and Brendan Gaughan in fifth. Leaders putting a gap on the rest of the top 10 at this moment. 17 of 50 laps complete in the Bucyrus 200 at Road America for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Carl Edwards out in front. Back at the Bucyrus 200 presented by Menards. Make sure to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. Carl Edwards working the 18th of 50 laps as the race leader and moving away from second place Jacques Villeneuve and third place Paul Menard. 3.4 seconds the gap from first to second. Wow.
He is doing a great job today and just turned into a great road racer, Carl Edwards has.
Down through Kettle Bottoms and off to Canada Corner. The 12th turn of this 14-turn course for Carl Edwards. Here comes second and third, Villeneuve and Menard. Fourth place, how about this guy? The Australian Owen Kelly in his NASCAR Nationwide Series debut. Let's take you up to speed and check in on some of these runners. Jamie, how about the 27 driver?
Very impressive run so far for multiple reasons, Alan. We've talked about it. Whoa, you see the slide there. Slide job for Owen Kelly making his first start here in the Nationwide Series. Now, this team lost their sponsor last week, and they lost their crew chief in Ricky Byers, who went to Roush. The crew chief on this team is John Reese. Get this, Alan. He's also the jack man. This team is a little team that could, and they're doing nothing but putting the hammer down and moving forward so far early in this race. Doc?
You talk about moving forward. It's exactly what the 62 team for Rusty Wallace Incorporated and Brendan Gaughan has done the last couple of weeks in the point standings. They've gained 5 positions, up to 9th in the points, based on a 13th place finish in Nashville and 4th at Kentucky. And right now, they're trying to get another top 5 as the 62 car is being shown in 5th spot. A 1-pound air adjustment in the front tires, helping the car turn better on the racetrack. Right behind him, the 88 car, road course expert Ron Fellows, a Canadian driver, who is a 4-time winner in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, all coming on road courses. Has some damage in that right front hood and the grill, but thus far has not complained of any overheating situation. Mike.
Doc, as we mentioned at the top of the show, Jason Ratcliffe, the crew chief for the 18 car, said the expectations this weekend, no different with Coleman behind the wheel than they would be if Kyle Busch were here. I happened to mention those comments to Coleman just before driver introductions. The look on his face, priceless. Just rolled his eyes and said, wow, that's a lot to live up to. Kyle's one of the world's best drivers, but so far, so good, Doc.
And so far, so good. Back behind him for the 33 car, running in 8th position. That would be 51-year-old, soon to be 52-year-old Ron Hornaday. He has a birthday coming up tomorrow. The 4-time NASCAR Camping World Truck Champion, driving for Kevin and Delana Harvick. He'll run this race and one more at ORP. No adjustments on that pit stop, so the car is good. He is just saving the brakes here for those final 10 laps. Jamie.
And behind him, Colin Brown, one of the few drivers in the field who have actually been to this track before and raced on this track. So he had high expectations coming in, had a solid qualifying effort at third. It's the best all year. Track has been all right. He's been lacking some grip, but with a new crew chief, they're adjusting on the fly right now, though. They are slipping back. Now, right behind him, Patrick Long in the 90. You heard Rusty Wallace talk about him earlier on. He races in the ALMS series. He is so excited to be in the Nationwide Series. He said, it's amazing how many people watch this series. I really want to get my face out there. I want to be one of those road course ringers. And so far, that is what he's doing in that 90 car. He started 7th. He slipped back just a little bit to 11th. Mike?
Talking to Stephen Wallace early in the weekend, you could really sense the frustration. He was having a hard time figuring out how to get around this place fast, but at the same time under control. Well, he has seemingly figured it out. At the beginning of the race, he was complaining that he wasn't getting enough grip and that his rear was a little bit softer compared to the other cars. However, those complaints have gone away. Stephen's been relatively happy with the race car since about lap 10. Doc?
And in the 81 car, Michael McDowell, the 25-year-old, has 53 career starts in this series. His best finish 6th at Las Vegas a year ago. He hopes that will change today because McDowell, there he comes, is a road course expert. He has won here at Road America in a Star Mazda Series car back in 2004. Has also been a winner at Mexico City in the Rolex Daytona Prototype Series. And right behind him is our series points leader, and that is Brad Keselowski. And all Brad has said on the radio is, guys, I'm seeing the big picture. Big picture meaning the championship. Got a pretty comfortable point lead right now. And he says, I'm going to take care of the gears, take care of the brakes, and be very deliberate on these passes. AB?
All right, Doc, thanks. And if you are just joining us, and we're here in the very opening laps of this race, Justin Allgaier, third in the championship, broke the track bar mount on his car and has been towed to the garage. His crew still effecting repairs there. Allgaier right now being shown in 40th position. A few cars have gone to the garage. Antonio Perez out with the engine problem we saw earlier. Joey Scarello, Brian Keselowski, Jason Wise, Andy Ponstein, Kevin LePage all started, and it would appear parked on the day here at Road America. So still Carl Edwards putting the gap on second place. Jacques Villeneuve in third place, Paul Menard, an even 4-second lead from Edwards. Back to second place as we close in on halfway in the Bucyrus 200 at Road America. Beautiful look down on Road America in Wisconsin. A little go-kart track doesn't hurt anything either. A lot of fun out there. Aerial coverage brought to you by Fastenal.
Yeah, Andy broke the track record on the go-kart track. He's pretty humble. He didn't tell anybody that.
That's what he's telling us, but we haven't gotten that confirmed by independent sources yet. Under green approaching halfway. J.R. Fitzpatrick just a second ago had a little excursion right in the spot he's headed to now, down the hill in turn 1.
Ooh, that was a long slide. That left rear tire, that gravel trap. Look at that.
He broke something right there. Traction.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Fitzpatrick has continued. He's in 26th place on the lead lap for the moment. Being challenged there by Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the 6.
Hey, JR's really run good on the road courses up in Canada, but boy, this weekend he has had a tough time figuring this particular track out. He's had a couple spins. I believe he's in a backup car right now. It's been a tough week for JR.
And watching this 6 car of Stenhouse, he appears to be off the pace. Lost a few spots and does not appear to be fully up to speed. We'll follow up on that 6 story in a minute. This is Jason Leffler. He was on pit road a minute ago for a green flag stop. Now he's back for a speeding penalty pass-through.
Well, the good news is that if he catches a caution, even this penalty won't hurt him too much because he'll be able to catch back up. He won't lose a lap, but still costs him a lot of track position and track time.
This track is so big, 4 miles, like we talked about earlier. You can have a problem and get away with it.
38 back in 33rd position now, and Matt DiBenedetto in the Gibbs 20 has just gone behind the wall to the garage. Report is a broken sway bar on that 20 car.
Well, that'll cripple you here at a road course. You need that sway bar to make these corners.
These guys run some very, very soft springs in the front of the car. And boy, just like Andy said, without that sway bar, these things are ill to handle. It looks like they're working on top of the car, Andy, up there around the shocks or something, not underneath down there by the sway bar.
Get a follow-up report from back in the garage on exactly what's put the 20 behind there in a minute.
Yeah, you think if it's a sway bar, they would be actually underneath around the control arms there.
Now, Jason Leffler just did the pass-through penalty.
Don't tell me.
In every segment of pit road.
Well, they got a problem with pit road speed that they picked up on their tachometer reading.
So that's going to take an already difficult day and make it a lot worse, because now he probably will lose a lap when he comes through for the next penalty.
Yeah, when nobody in the racetrack's having a problem coming out pit road, you know you've got something wrong. If the driver says, hey, my tach says it's right, but it's not right, on the caution flag or back in the garage area before this race, they set these tachometers, and they probably set it wrong.
Nearing halfway in this race, watching Brad Keselowski here try to pick up a spot on Stephen Wallace. Keselowski in the 22, the championship leader. Wallace 66, Michael McDowell 81. And this is going to be for 11th, 12th, and 13th spots. And we talked about Stenhouse slowing down.
Yeah, he could have been down to just maybe one gear in the transmission, not able to accelerate. We're just kind of speculating, don't know what it was, but they got to go to the garage and look and see if they can fix it.
And again, we'll effort follow-up information there from the garage on why the 6 has gone behind the wall. So while we watch this race, what I wanted to comment on was a lot of folks were concerned about this being a real caution fest when we came up here, right? Very technical course, a lot of heavy braking, 14 corners, the whole thing. We've only had a couple of cautions. One was for an engine and dropping oil.
Well, I'll go ahead and say right now, I was the one that thought we'd just be a caution fest, and I'm dead wrong. We haven't seen that many cautions here. What we got, one? Is that about it right now?
Yeah, the one for oil and then the one for Allgaier breaking the track bar, and that's it.
Yeah, these guys have been doing a fantastic job, but, you know, you go back and think about it, Andy, going into it, all the drivers did talk about getting off course, and I think they all know what they can get away with and can't get away with, and they don't want to get away with much, because if you get off track, you're in trouble here. And right there, those ripple strips, they've been staying off those pretty good, too.
I talked to almost every crew chief in the garage that I talked to, thought the same thing. They thought that they were going to have they were going to be able to count on a lot of caution flag laps to extend their range and to figure in their strategy. But I bet you that a lot of them are rethinking that now after we've not seen anywhere near the amount of cautions we thought we'd have.
And so that comes back to the discussion we had earlier about brakes. People trying to decide whether to go for the aggressive, heavy stopping power brakes, expecting a lot of cautions to cool those brakes down, or the long runs where they needed kind of a more endurance mode of brake.
Yeah, you see right there, Brad Keselowski trying to use his brakes to get a spot on Stephen Wallace, but not able to do that. Matter of fact, Stephen Wallace outbraked him pretty good getting in that corner.
Hey, you know, Andy, I was talking to Ron Fellows. I mentioned his name quite a bit in the show because we had a lot of talk with him about braking and the bad spots in the course. He told me, Mr. Rusty, you know, I know turn 1 looks like you can make a lot of passes there, but it's really hard to make those passes in turn 1.
By the way, 12 car, I mentioned Allgaier off the track, had the broken track bar earlier back at lap 3. Back on the track after repairs. This is the same corner, turn 5, where the car broke before.
Yeah, it looks like it didn't break this time, but he did get out of the groove on those strips.
Just trying to overtake the 01 car, getting down into turn 5, and just overcooked the corner, just too hot.
Clear.
Slides off the course.
Allgaier some 20 laps down in 39th position at this point for the guy who came into the race 3rd in the championship. Halfway through the Bucyrus 200 at Road America, Carl Edwards has moved out to, are you ready, a 6-second lead on 2nd place. He's got it going on today. The 2010 FIFA World Cup continues on ESPN and ABC tomorrow, 7 a.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. Slovakia takes on Paraguay. And at 9:30 Eastern, Italy faces New Zealand. And on ABC, 2 Eastern, it's Brazil and the Ivory Coast. The 2010 FIFA World Cup on ESPN and ABC tomorrow. The World Cup available on TV, online, and on your phone. Go to ESPNSoccerNet.com for more information. Jason Leffler again with a pit road penalty, and the caution is going to come out. Colin Brown stuck in the gravel trap in turn 1.
Got buried in the gravel.
Yeah, that car is not moving.
Oh, man, that is so frustrating because just like you said, look at the rear wheels. When those babies are buried at this particular track in that stuff, you are doomed. You can't drive through it. I haven't seen hardly anybody do that.
Wheel high. You hear it. You ever hear the wheels jumping up and down?
Just to get you to the end here.
He was 10th at the time, and now he's waiting for a tow.
That's the only thing that can help you right now is a tow truck. And
yeah,
that's
if they can get there, though, quick enough. You see where Carl is.
Just the rear's hit.
It might be able to get out.
And start a wheel hopping.
Oh, the 24's
And how
broken the
about
track
this
bar.
Yeah, this is the second time we've seen track bar failures
All right, there
now.
went a tire.
That's Chris Cook. Remember, driving in relief for Eric McClure. And he's been trying to limp this car back around to pit road, and it's beginning to shed things as it goes.
Yeah, he broke a track bar bracket just exactly like Justin Allgaier did early in the race, and he's trying to drive it around. It didn't break the drive shaft, but you can see now it's banging the wheels and tires back and forth till it finally blew that one out and causing a lot of damage.
You know, I think it's important to note how tough these rumble strips are on these cars. I know I've talked about it about 4 or 5 times, but we were all concerned going into this race that these rumble strips that they've never raced on before, those right there are going to be really hard on parts. We've seen track bars now. Matt Benevento, he's broke a lower control arm on the 20 car, broke an A-frame. We hardly ever see that. But these rumble strips are actually tearing pieces apart on these cars.
I got an idea. Don't hit them.
And you know what? That goes right back to what Alan said early, Andy. Stay on the track.
Yeah. Now, as we watch Chris Cook bring this 24 in, Rusty, you just were talking about the 20 car. Jamie's got the official word from down in their garage, as well as what happened to the 6 car that had him behind the wall, Jamie.
It's busy down here in the garage,
Yeah.
Alan. The 20 car still getting worked on right now. Remember, this team was in victory lane last week with Joey Logano. They have Matt DiBenedetto behind the wheel now, and the word is it's a lower control arm that is broken on the front right side. So they're going to try to get that fixed, get him back out there. Of course, it's all about turning laps and getting experience. Now, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the 6 car. He brought it in and said it was stuck in gear. But once he got into the garage, he said all of a sudden the shifter started working again. So he pulled out. Then he got a pass-through penalty for going too fast on exit. So now he's talking to the team, and I believe he has paid that penalty. And the car so far, so good, Alan.
And the 6 car being shown in 35th position, a couple of laps down. 70 car Being driven by Mark Green here is going to be the Aaron's Lucky Dog free pass. First car a lap down. He's going to get back on the lead lap here under this third caution of the race.
Okay, look at this. See the leaders coming down pit road now. Some of these cars and teams thinking this may be their last stop.
This is with what'll be 23 laps to go after they cross the start-finish line right there. So 23 laps to go in this race. The leaders come to pit road and get some service and then start to count caution laps.
And hope they get some cautions.
Yep. Edwards, Villeneuve, Menard, Kelly, and Coleman, your top 5. Let's cover the Australians' pit stop. Jamie?
Yes, actually, just the 9th Australian ever to race in NASCAR. Car is good. The call, same as the last pit stop. 4 tires, fill it up with Sunoco fuel. No adjustments for this 27 car. Mike?
Jason Ratcliffe coaching Brad Coleman all the way into his pit stall, not planning any major adjustments on this race car. It's been awfully good all afternoon. 4 tires and Sunoco race fuel for Coleman. Doc?
At the far end of pit road, both Jacques Villeneuve and Carl Edwards pitting. Neither one of these guys can make it the rest of the way on fuel. Villeneuve will be about 3 laps shy. Edwards could be 4 laps shy. Both having a minor air pressure adjustment for the right-hand turns. Edwards down and away with instructions to save fuel as much as he can.
The 98 car Menard getting out ahead of Villeneuve there.
That's a big pass right there on pit road because he had a good car trying to get by Villeneuve, not able to do it on the track. Pit crew get it done.
And a little patch-up work on Ronfello's car as he comes underneath us there in the 88 car.
How about Jerry Baxter's crew, that 99? 6 spots on the pit road.
All right, so a couple cars did not pit. We'll reset the running order for you in a minute and try and figure out the strategy. And we'll probably get some of that video from the onboard cameras with the guys shutting off the engines and coasting around the track a bit, too. Here's what's happened so far in the 5-hour Energy Rapid Recap from Road America, the first ever NASCAR Nationwide Series race here with Carl Edwards and Jacques Villeneuve on the front row. Edwards has dominated this race. He's led almost the whole thing. Justin Allgaier, third in the championship. He's had a tough day.
Oh, he's had a tough day. Broke that track bar, and it really hurt the car. He got back out on the track, spun out again. You see him right there in the first incident, trying to get off the track.
Listen. Not too good. So Allgaier being shown back in 39th spot. Meantime, Andy, it has just been impressive what Carl Edwards has done.
Now, he's made the most of that pole position and that track position that he's had all day long, able to stretch the lead as much as 4, 5, 6 seconds.
And so Edwards pitting under this caution with most of the other front runners. He got off the pit road first, but he's going to restart in 4th position. 3 cars did not pit. Patrick Long in the 90s, Steve Wallace in the 66, and the 05 car of Victor Gonzalez Jr. They are 1, 2, and 3. Long, having lane choice for the restart, has chosen driver's right. On a normal oval track, that'd be the outside lane.
It's the inside here.
It's the inside here, and it's his choice.
Preferred groove getting into turn 1.
And let's also find Colin Brown on the racetrack, the driver who brought out this caution by getting stuck in the kitty litter in turn 1. He's back in 29th place, but he's on the lead lap.
Yeah, he did. Just stayed on the lead lap. You see the 33 car, Ron Hornaday. He was penalized for going too fast on pit road. He went from like 8th spot all the way back to now at the tail end of the field, which there's 30 cars on the lead lap.
Yep, so tough luck there for the former Truck Series champ. Ron Hornaday and his team discussing it a moment ago.
Hornaday, you heard him say 2 packs exiting, right?
Us?
Yes, sir.
No way, dude. I was in first gear at 3,000.
You hear that, Ernie? He said, well, that's the call in the tower. We're talking about it right now.
He being a right rear and all that stuff. I didn't do nothing other than $3,000 in first gear. I'm going to go to 42.
Well, it's hard to fight the long arm of the law.
Well, it's really hard because they got it. It's a light system up in the tower. I mean, it just lights up if you're going too fast. It's not that they're using stopwatches and they're trying to bust you.
Interesting here. They waved off the restart. So some of these guys toward the back end of the field, including Hornaday, are going to come in and...
Yeah, they're going to top off because this is still 22 laps to go, really outside of the pit window for most teams. So they're going to try to get just a little extra fuel in here and, you know, hopefully turn this bad break into a decent break later if they've got enough fuel to make it to the end.
Colin Brown among those also coming into pit road to top off the fuel. Doc, got more in the 33 for us?
Well, obviously, you heard on the radio a moment ago that Ron Hornaday did not agree with the speeding penalty as he comes down and gets a break when they called off the restart, able to come down pit road, top it off with fuel. They could not have made it. They were going to be about 2 laps shy. There is damage on the right front grille and fender area. They're going to put a little barrier bond over a hole that's been punched in the car. Ron was in traffic trying to get off of pit road, dodged one car to the inside, another to the outside, and apparently what they're saying is he was dodging a car. He might have sped up in that final segment, and that's where he was caught with a speeding penalty. But he was trying to get out of the way, and of course NASCAR said too fast, and you're caught. He is down and away, topping it off with fuel.
Going to put him from 9th spot back to 27th at the moment. And we will reset the restart for you when we come back. So just hanging outside of that fuel window, Carl Edwards. Not leading at the moment, though he has led most of the day.
Bucyrus 200 at Road America is brought to you by Verizon. Real race fans don't have to choose. They get all the action from both Nationwide and Indy. Videos, highlights, and the hottest racing apps around. Text app to 3406 now. And the makers of Zantec. Beat that heartburn heat. Zantec.
Looking down on Road America as the field moves through Canada Corner on this caution flag period. Aerial coverage brought to you today by Fastenal. What a beautiful look it is at this 4-mile course on 460 acres, 55 years old, and seeing the NASCAR Nationwide Series for the very first time today. Coming to a restart, Patrick Long in the 90s, the leader. Steve Wallace, 66, is second. Third is the 05 car. Because of the way the restart rules work, he's driver's left for the restart. That's Victor Gonzalez Jr. They did not pit those 3 cars. Then the dominant driver on the day, Carl Edwards, in that 60, who is on the inside of row 2. Jamie?
And Patrick Long in the 90, you guys, you can't say enough about this team. First of all, usually this team is a start and park. Now they have all hands on deck. And the man leading the force is Kevin Buskirk. There's actually a list of like everybody's role on this team. They are having so much fun racing right now. They said this kid is the nicest kid. Just got back from France on Monday from Le Mans where he finished 3rd. They are pumped up and ready to win this race. Alan, we're getting ready to go green.
21 laps to go as they cross the start-finish line for this restart. See how quickly Carl Edwards can get back to the lead. And those 2 yellow cars there. See if Menard can finally clear Villeneuve or not.
He had the position on him, but by the way they lined up, it looks like Villeneuve's going to have the preferred line getting into turn 1.
Oh, Brad Coleman going to stick it down there inside.
Easy.
18.
Boy, they're really getting aggressive, getting down into turn 3 right here. Look at it, 2 wide, 3 wide. Oh, 05 locks up the rear wheels.
Oh, boy.
Saved it.
Nice. That, sorry, I was holding my breath. That had potential to be a mess right there. Edwards inside of Steve Wallace to second as they go down the hill to turn 5. Wallace with the block on Villeneuve. But not for long.
Boy, that is a tight quarters to enter turn 5 there. Big drag race up the hill into 6 here. Whoa.
Little wiggle.
Maybe a little help.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Menard. Oh, there's one around. Scott in the 11 car back at turn 6. Oh,
big
boy.
wreck. Oh,
grab 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cars piled up at turn number 6.
And Colin Brown is involved in the 16 after staying on the lead lap.
This is just what Carl Edwards wanted, though. I mean, this caution flag is going to let him make it.
Well, it's not just Carl. It's all those leaders that pitted there. I don't think any of them could actually make it if it went green, which doesn't look like there's any chance of that now as we start getting down towards the end. A little more take than give.
Boy, I tell you, the 59 car is just clobbered of Kyle Kelly right there.
That's Tony Raines. I counted 8 of them. Oh, there's one I hadn't counted. 09 car.
See, water and oil pouring out of the 09 car.
It's Rob Brent. All right, starts around the 11 car. Brian Scott there.
You see, they're all 2 by 2. And, oh,
whoa,
man,
boy.
Tony Raines just gets jacked up.
And it's just a blind corner. Once you get top of this hill, guys, as you're going up the hill, you don't see anything. And if there's something wrong at the other end, you just plow into it. And we just saw that. And it's all part of understanding this track, where to place your spotters to help you, things like that.
Now, and watch this piling in here. Bang, 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 bang.
Stan Barrett going through the gravel.
Colin Brown's view.
He didn't see it developing.
Colin Brown gets off in the gravel trap in turn 1, gets out of that deal without going a lap down, and loses it all right here.
2 words. Big mess.
Bad luck.
That is turn number 6, and the cleanup there is going to take a minute. And so now what we're going to see among the front runners is, like we were talking about before, Andy, is shutting it off and saving fuel.
Oh, they started, crew chief started telling drivers to start saving fuel the second that caution came out. You'll see them put it in neutral, turn the switch off, coast as much as possible.
You know, it seems like every single road race we go to, we see the same thing. Everybody shutting the engines off, trying to save fuel, gambling an awful lot that there's going to be a lot of caution flags so they can keep that track position, so they can make it to the end. Much more gambling than you see on an oval track.
Patrick Long, the leader, going to give up the top spot, head to pit road. That's going to put him a good bit back in line.
You know, I actually think these guys made some mistakes. I think the 90 car into 66 made mistakes by staying on the racetrack, just thinking they can't make it on fuel, but probably really underestimating how many caution flags there's going to be and how much fuel they can save to make it to the end. And that's all about gambling. And you know what? I don't know how to gamble. When I did gamble, I lost everything.
Here is Patrick Long into the pits, Jamie.
They're definitely in the gambling game. They said, well, I don't know if this just helped us or hurt us, but we must come in. They stayed out the last round of pit stops. 4 tires and fuel, no drink needed. They're going to just gamble here and see if it pays off for Patrick Long. Doc?
33 car coming down pit road, Jamie. They could not make it on fuel. Neither can the leaders of the 32 or the 60, but they're talking to each other like they're going to wait a few more laps to come back in. Topping it off for Hornaday. The car stalls briefly as he tries to get it back in gear, and it falls out of gear. Then he puts it back, and now he's pulling away. But still questionable whether Hornaday can make it from here.
Well, it's still questionable for a lot of cars and teams, but you see the reason that Hornaday pitted here is he didn't have a lot to lose. He was already at the back. He didn't give up a lot of track position to get that fuel tank filled back up. On the other hand, you know, Carl Edwardson, Villeneuve, Menard, all those guys in the front would give up 30 spots to try to get in here now and put fuel in their cars. So they're going to gamble on having some more cautions.
Very clean race through the first half of the distance today at Road America, but the second half of the race began with a bang. A 9-car pileup after a restart in turn number 6. The blind uphill left-hander that has left the track crews with a little bit of work to do to get us back under the green flag. So a great Wisconsin sporting tradition.
It's a race.
Down in Miller Park, where the Brewers play, the sausage race.
Number 3 is going to get it at the line.
At every Brewers home game. See, we're tying all this together. We're in Wisconsin, talking a little Wisconsin baseball tradition, leading to ESPN's NL Showdown tomorrow and Monday night. First, Manny Ramirez and the Dodgers return to Boston to take on the Yankees, the Red Sox, and Kevin Youkilis on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball at 8 Eastern time. Then on Monday Night Baseball at 10 Eastern, it is Derek Jeter and the Yankees, thank you, playing the Arizona Diamondbacks. Both games part of the NL Showdown, presented by State Farm and available on ESPN3.com.
Alan, who are you pulling for?
Well, you know,
National League.
You know I'm a New England guy, and I'm a Red Sox guy.
Okay.
So
you're an AL guy.
I'm an AL guy, yeah. Big mess in turn number 6, so to give the safety workers some room to get it cleaned up as quickly as possible, they have stopped the field on the straightaway between turns 4 and 5 and put them under the red flag. So Justin Allgaier left to contemplate what this racetrack has been for him today, and some of the other front runners taking a little bit of a halftime breather in the inaugural Bucyrus 200 at Road America for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Carl Edwards is the leader. Big crash. I got my count up to 11 cars now in this one, Andy. They just stacked them up off turn 6.
What a mess.
The Bucyrus 200 for the NASCAR Nationwide Series under the red flag at Road America, Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, with 20 laps to go, just past halfway. See officials out offering some of the drivers water as they sit in their machines on the straightaway connecting turns 4 and 5. Reason for the red flag, a big mess in turn number 6, about an 11-car pileup just after a restart that stacked them up pretty heavily. Carl Edwards. Boy, what a day he's had. He has been out in front for most of this race. 25 of the 30 laps Edwards has paced, and Dr. Jerry Punch is with Edwards crew chief Drew Blickensderfer.
Absolutely. They are all smiles down here as well. They should be with the way they have run today. And Drew, let's talk about the fuel mileage situation. Before this caution came out, I heard you guys sweating you were a lap and a half or 2 laps shy. How about now?
Yeah, I think now this probably puts us pretty close to right at the very end. I think we're getting a couple laps better than some of the guys we're racing against, so that puts us, if we're on the same strategy as them and have the same amount of fuel, I think our car's pretty good, so we're okay. If they come and get a splash, maybe we'll come with them, but other than that, I think we're probably close to the end right here.
So if these guys up pit road, the guys you're racing against, the 32 and a couple of us, were to come in on, say, lap 35 or 36 and top off, you guys would come next lap by?
Yeah, we'd probably follow them. You know, we have nothing to lose by that. We want to make sure if our car is out in front of them and as good as it has been all day long, we'll put ourselves in a position to where we have at least the same amount of fuel they do. We don't want to get beat by strategy or anything like that. So if 35, 36, we see them ducking down pit road and getting some gas, we'll come the next lap probably.
Okay, thank you, Drew.
No problem.
Well, Alan, looks like you're going to be very close, and they would not make it on a green-white checkered if they stayed out right now.
Ooh, this crew chief's got a lot of decisions to make, don't they? Sweeping it up out in turn number 6 after the big mess, the big wreck, after the restart that stacked him up on that uphill blind left-hand corner. It has left us under the red flag. Here was Colin Brown's view of things. It wasn't a pretty one. Under the red flag here at Road America, the NASCAR Nationwide Series on a new road course for the series. History of road course racing in the Nationwide Series goes back to 1986 at Road Atlanta. Ran a couple of races there. Darrell Waltrip won the first one of 2. They ran there in 86 and 87. You won the pole for one of those races, right, Rusty?
Yeah, 1987. Didn't last long, though.
Watkins Glen joined the Nationwide Series in 1991. Terry Labonte won that race that year. Terry, the first of 4 Nationwide Series wins. He has rung up at the Glen. Mexico City, Autodromos Hermanos Rodriguez joined the Nationwide Series for a 3-year run starting in 2005. Mark Truex Jr., the inaugural winner there. And Circuit Gilles Villeneuve joining the Nationwide Series on August 4th, 2007. That one had the crazy finish with...
did win that one.
That was Marcos Ambrose and Robbie Gordon got into it. Kevin Harvick started 30th and went through and won the race. And then, you know, there's a double donuts after with Gordon and Harvick doing donuts together and
arguing about
all kinds of stuff. And, of course, this race came to be after 17 years of competition at the Milwaukee Mile. The State Fair Board couldn't find a promoter to put on the races there that would meet the financial obligations necessary, and so NASCAR went looking for a new home for this race to keep the Nationwide Series in front of these great Wisconsin race fans. Road America jumped in 61 miles up the street, and boy, the fans have turned out on this 4-mile course on a beautiful Wisconsin afternoon for the latest NASCAR Nationwide Series road course effort. Handful of drivers in the field have experience on this Road America track, and most of them are having pretty fine afternoons, Andy.
Yeah, they are. You see Jacques Villeneuve in second place. He and Paul Menard have had a great battle so far, trying to swap spots on the track and on pit road.
Speaking of Menard, our in-race reporter for the day, and a good time to try and catch up with him under the red flag.
Paul, Rusty Wallace, ESPN, you got us? Hey, Paul, Rusty with ESPN, you got us?
Yeah, Rusty, I got you.
But it looks like a pretty smooth race. You have any struggles out there?
No, everything's pretty good. Made a little adjustment the first stop. Helped it. Went a little bit more this last one. And I don't know what's going to happen here. You know, Carl's real fast. We're all kind of running the same times. Villeneuve, man, I can tell why he's world champion. He's driving the hell out of that thing. It's cool to watch. But I think we can get by him and go challenge Carl.
Paul, 14 corners out here. Which one of the corners is probably the biggest struggle for you and hardest to get through?
I lost you. They're still talking to me.
Yeah, Rusty again here. Paul, I said 14 corners out here. Of all these corners, which one of these corners is the toughest for you to get through and negotiate?
Turn one's probably the most hairy. You're going so fast, you have to brake real hard, but the corner itself is real fast also. It's not as slow as like turn 5 or turn 8 or 12. So you have to carry a lot of speed through one. It's probably the most on edge the car is. You got the kink on the back stretch. It's pretty quick too, and any of the braking zones is use up all the car to get it wore down.
All right, buddy. Thanks for talking to us. Have a great race.
Paul Menard sitting third under the red flag with 20 laps to go, and a look at why we are under the red flag again. The big pileup just after the restart, going uphill into turn 6. On board Colin Brown.
Boy, somebody taps somebody, and around everybody goes. They pile in, and what was the last count? How many cars was right around here?
I think I've settled on 10.
Okay. I'll go with that number. You see them flying in the air, sliding around. Boy, Morgan Shepherd got through that thing pretty good. Tony Raines is tore up. Jamie, what's Tony got to say? I think you're with him.
Yes, he's been checked and released. He was just watching the replay as well, and you saw the rear end of his car. That was him. You got plowed pretty good. You all right?
Yeah, the fish got run over, but you know, it was disappointing. I was just surprised how hard he hit me. I don't know if his brakes faded or something like that, but you know, we have those jam ups on the restart quite a bit, and it looked like somebody ahead of me had got jammed up, and I slowed up, but you know, I don't know why I got hit so hard, but turned me sideways, and then Leffler in the 38 come in there and knocked the whole front end off, and just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And we weren't running horrible, but we weren't real good. I think we were 23rd or 24th, something like that. But you know, we've been working real hard not to get in wrecks all season, and DNFs like this kind of hurt us in the points. But I think that car's going to need a lot of work before it comes back out again. So. Well, you know, I was learning a lot. First time I ever been here. It's a great facility. You know, give a hand to all the people that work here. They do a great job, and I think, judging by the crowd, we'll probably be back next year. So maybe I'll come up here and test or something. But you know, it's a short day, but you have those once in a while. So we'll get ready and go on to Loudon.
Glad to see you got a smile on your face. He's okay, and he mentioned points, Alan. He came into this race sitting 11th.
Tony Raines, one of the 10 drivers involved in the big wreck that's put us under the red flag now for a few minutes. 20 laps to go. Field parked on the straightaway between turns 4 and turn 5. Wrapping up the cleanup out in turn number 6 in the Bucyrus 200 for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Road America, Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. With 20 laps to go, they've got a lot of oil dry down up there. They are sweeping up, and we should be able to get this race back underway in just a couple of minutes. Let's hear from some crew chiefs down on pit road. Doc?
Well, Trent Owens calling the shots for Jacques Villeneuve. And Trent, you guys were when I came up here a moment ago, you were down on your both knees with your head down. Were you praying or calculating?
I'd say I was doing both. Things are going to get pretty interesting here, to say the least. Probably the worst time this caution could fall, kind of in between laps. You know, here at Montreal, or wherever we're at, Road America, 4-mile racetrack, green, white checkers, you can have 3 of them. So the Dollar General Toyota's been good. It's been a pleasure working with Jacques all weekend, and hopefully we can just put ourselves in position, make the right pit calls to put ourselves in a spot to win.
Do you come in when he roll back in a few minutes? Do you come in to top off before the green? Do you come in after the green and run another lap or 2?
I think we probably want to come in during the caution and top off, and then try to gain as many spots and then get another caution to try to get back to the front. So we're going to see how it plays out. You know, we don't know the other team's fuel mileage. Just based on ours, I don't think anybody can make it other than the cars that may have pitted just now. So, like I say, it's going to be tough calls here coming up.
All right, 32 should be on pit road. The matter is when they come. Mike?
And catching up with Scott McDougall, the crew chief for Stephen Wallace. And you stayed out while most of the leaders have already pitted. I'm sure there's a pit stop coming soon. What's the pit strategy here?
Yeah, we'll be pitting here the next time the pit road's open for us. We just need to, we couldn't go from there to the end. It'd be too big of a risk. And with the NASCAR's rule with the green, white checkers at the end, being a 4-mile racetrack, we just had to make plans for that. So it'll be a little bit of a game plan for it without putting us in a bad spot later on in the run.
And in addition to taking fuel, Jamie, they're also going to put 2 spring rubbers in the rear to stiffen that car up.
And Newt Moore, he came off the pit box here to take a little break. Victor Gonzalez, your driver today, sitting 8th right now, though, Newt. Once we open up these pits, what's your guys' strategy?
We're going to pit one more time. We planned on pitting on lap 32, and that would have got us to the end with a green-white checker, and probably going to have more than one attempt at that green-white checker. So that was our game plan, so we kind of stuck with it, and we were almost in the way out there a minute ago, but Victor done a good job. Car's decent. We're working on it, get a little bit better. 31W installation, state water heater, Chevrolet's pretty good.
I know he said he's a little thirsty in there. He couldn't find his water bottle. Did you guys get him all squared away?
Yeah, he found it. Yeah, he kind of should have just put it in his hand before we took off. Would have been better off, but he's doing good, doing a real good job.
All right, holding a pretty wheel. His dad watching on. His dad surprised him, flew in last night to watch his boy race. Alan.
All right, Jamie, thanks. So we are up to 23 minutes of red flag, and I guess if you're running back and forth between racetracks 1,800 miles apart, a little red flag nap's a good thing.
Yeah, you got to find the time to do it, so it's a good time.
Now, check out the shifter knob here inside the 60 car. Earlier in the weekend, right, that was what the 60 car started the weekend with, but they decided to change it out to this. Eric Darnell practiced the car here on Friday, so when Carl shows up and gets in the car this morning for qualifying, watch this.
What's this, guys?
What is that all about?
Can we change it?
Come here, I want to talk to you.
No, we can't change it.
What'd you do? Hey, man.
What is this all about?
It's working, though.
Yeah.
It's working pretty good.
He's going to keep that shifter knob in the car every road course. He's going to carry that shifter handle with him to Sonoma tomorrow. If that car would run like this one has today. So Carl Edwards sitting under the red flag right now, 20 laps away from another road course win. Steve Wallace, I guess we got to find something to do under the red flag.
I really have always had so much respect for the NASCAR fans. They are tried and true, dedicated fans. And you know what? One thing I've actually really been excited to see is a Danica flag hanging from someone's trailer somewhere. I just want to see one. I think if I see that and, you know, there's a few people cheering for me, then I will be okay.
Now, Danica Patrick joins the NASCAR Nationwide Series, along with some of the Sprint Cup double-duty guys like Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick. They'll all be there at New Hampshire next Saturday, 2:30 Eastern Time on ESPN, as ESPN's exclusive coverage of the NASCAR Nationwide Series rolls on up to the Granite State. 23 New Hampshire races, 23 different faces in Victory Lane. We'll see if we can make it 24 next Saturday at New Hampshire. Hope you'll be with us for that. We are sitting under the red flag as cleanup continues up in Turn 6 from the Big Ten car pileup about a half an hour ago now. We've been talking a lot of fuel strategy and getting fuel to the finish and getting all the fuel out of the tank you can. Could be very critical. For more on that, we go to our Craftsman Tech Garage and Tim Brewer. Tim?
When it comes to road racing, we change a lot of things on the race cars. One being the fuel pickup. Historically, we'll run the fuel pickup in the far right rear corner on all the ovals because the centrifugal force forces all the fuel over in this area, and we know where to put it to pick the fuel up. But when it comes to road racing, we put this insert in here. What we have here, when you deaccelerate, we've got a flapper door right here that contains the fuel in this area. But when you're turning left or right, it always makes sure that it keeps the box full. Because the trick is, on any fuel cell, if you put 18.7 gallons in this container, you're supposed to get 18.7 out to give you an opportunity to win the race.
Yeah, you see how they put that fuel cell pickup in there, and that's it's key to being able to try to get that fuel out of there, because these left and right-hand turns, it's just very, very hard to get all of the fuel out of the fuel cell.
Well, as Trent Owens said, Jacques Villeneuve's crew chief a minute ago, this is about to get really interesting.
Yeah, it is.
With the fuel strategy to the finish of this one. 20 laps to go at Road America as we still sit under the red flag. There is beautiful Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Really a neat little town. Enjoyed our weekend here thus far. Looking across from the lake to Road America from our Fastenal Helicam. Aerial coverage brought to you by Fastenal. They've just withdrawn the yellow flag, or the red flag rather, put the yellow flag back out, finally, after about a half an hour. And the field going to get rolling now and come back around toward pit entry. And see if anybody does come off the track and onto pit road. find out what some of the front runners teams are thinking at this point. Doc?
Up here with Matt Pusha, who's been talking to Paul Menard, and you guys are about in the same situation as some of the others on fuel. How close are you?
It's pretty close right now. I think we get a couple more caution laps, we'll be fine here, but I don't know, we'll just have to see how it plays out here and how many more we get. If we get one or two more laps, you know, this is we got 20 laps to go, and caution usually breeds other cautions, so we'll just have to see how it plays out and see how we play our card.
You were down talking to Drew Blickensderfer. He said a moment ago, if the guys you're racing against come, or he's racing against come, 35 or 36, they might come to and top off and take tires. What do you think?
Yeah, you got to think about that. You know, our car's pretty good, and we don't want to get outbeat by somebody with fresher tires. So let's see how it plays and see who we're racing, the people we're racing, what they do, and we'll go from there.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
Jamie?
All right, John Reese, we mentioned it earlier. He's not only being the crew chief on the 27, you're actually going over the wall, and you're the jack man, too. So what's the plan this stop? First of all, you guys got to get a good stop in, but what's the call?
Yes, I think we're going to go with fuel only. We were talking about getting tires, but we've only got 3 laps on these tires. So, I mean, we can factor full right here, and we can go the rest of the way. And he's been doing a heck of a job all race, and we'll get him up there back up front and get us a win in this place.
You having some fun?
Oh, yeah, I'm having a good time.
Not something we see every week, Alan.
Yeah, that's for sure, Jamie. Thank you. So field rolling now down around the carousel out of the backside of the course. And when they come back around, we'll see who chooses to come down pit road or not. 31 minutes, 33 seconds, the red flag for the cleanup. And then we'll have the pit stops and then go back racing.
Well, all I can tell you right now, we learn a lot when we go to brand new racetracks. And I think we just learned we need a faster broom truck.
All right, so Andy, you've heard some of these crew chiefs talking. You heard the interview with Drew Blickensderfer a little while ago. You just heard Matt Pusha and some of the other front runners, and you heard Trent Owens, Jacques Villeneuve's crew chief as well. What do you do if you're one of those first 3 or 4?
I'm staying out. I'm going to gamble on having some caution laps. That'll get me there. Track position just too important. You know, I heard Matt Pusha saying that if they just had a couple more caution flag laps, that they could make it, and that could be the difference in winning. We're going to see this is going to be the key part of the race, the decision that's made when they get to the entrance of pit road right here.
And you got to believe they're going to have more caution flags. I guess the only thing that would worry me a little bit is the new NASCAR rule. You know, three restarts,
out.
You're still staying out. Okay.
I'm gambling.
Only 2 cautions in the first 27 laps of the race. 2 cautions in the last 4 laps of the race. There's still a long way to go in this. That's the other thing to think about for these drivers. And I would suppose if I were one of these crew chiefs, I'd be on the radio saying, hey, you know, it's not quite go time yet.
No, it's not. I mean, it says 20 laps to go, and you think that's a short amount of time, but it's not. I mean, you're talking about 4-mile laps. That's a lot of racing left.
Yeah, Bristol, that 20 laps goes by in about, what, 4 minutes or so, right?
Yeah.
But here it's gonna take a little bit. Well, if you stuck with us through the red flag, we sure appreciate it, and you are probably going to see a whole lot of action in the final 20 laps of this race, beginning right now. When the field comes to the pit road, we'll see what the leaders' teams choose to do.
Get ready to come here.
That's Drew Blickensderfer talking to Carl Edwards as they come around turn 14 to the opening of pit road, and see what kind of calls are made and who rolls the dice and stays out.
Watch your mirror here. Watch your mirror.
You see, that's Drew Blickensderfer, the crew chief, Carl Edwards. Watch your mirror. Now, that 32's coming.
Oh, there they come.
God, I can't believe they're coming in. I wouldn't do it. I'd have never done that.
Keselowski stayed out. Somebody just ahead of him, too. Might have been Brad Coleman stayed out. Edwards, Villeneuve, Menard, Wallace, Gonzalez, Bain, Ave, Kelly, Taylor Malsom, all on pit road. Brendan Gaughan, Ron Fellows, Brad Keselowski, Brad Coleman stay out. 19 laps to go as these cars come to the attention of their crews. Mike.
And Scott McDougall, the crew chief for the 66, banking on the fact he doesn't believe a lot of those lead cars can go the distance on fuel, so he delayed his last pit stop until now. From here on out, he feels like this car can go the distance. They're going to try to stiffen up the rear with 2 spring rubbers in the 66 car, Doc.
Fuel only for Jacques Villeneuve. We're almost stalled at leaving. Likewise, in the 98 gets by the 32. And the 60 fuel only there. What were we being told down here? Trent Owens just told Jacques Villeneuve that with this pit stop, we can make it with 1 green, white, checkered if we are careful, but it is going to be close.
All right, so let the scoring cycle around. Carl Edwards off the pit lane first.
Yeah, let me make a point here, though. He's not able to blend in. That's not what they can do. They have to go behind the cars that did not pit by the time this thing restarts. You can't just come off a pit road and blend in where these cars are. You have to line up behind cars that didn't make a pit stop that are at least on the lead lap.
All right, so we'll see how things cycle out here in just a minute. But for now, it looks like...
Save all you can. Save, save, save.
Edwards is going to be back about 9th, 10th, 11th in line. Looking through there. Coleman, Keselowski, Fellows, Gone, Fitzpatrick, 6 car not on the lead lap, 24 not on the lead lap, 21 of George, 81 McDowell, 15 of Annette, 33 Hornaday, 90 Patrick Long, then the 60 of Edwards.
And your point is that he's way back.
Yeah, and a couple of the cars that are in front of them there are not on the lead lap. So just trying to get a gauge on where he is in line. He's showing 8th in the scoring right now after the cycle of the pit stops.
You know, Carl's had his clean air and been in the front the whole time. He can run the pace he wants. Now this is going to be I can't wait to see what's going to happen now. He's going to have to drive through these guys, overbrake them, all this stuff.
Not going to be easy.
And again, though, I'll just bring back a point we've made a couple times earlier. But you got to stay out of trouble. You got to stay on the racetrack. If these guys get jacked up in front of him,
we saw what happened a while ago,
and he takes a right front fender off the car or something, everything he's worked all day at is going to get thrown away, right? So he's got to be clean.
It's
right
a gamble
now.
Either way.
Yes. He's got to be clean, and he's got to get through some of those cars, and he's got to do it without getting knocked off the track or damaging his car.
I really like the situation that Brad Keselowski's put himself in. Run a very conservative race, and now they are gambling on fuel, but they're out front. If they get enough caution flags, laps in here, they may be able to make it to the end and get a great finish.
All right, so the couple of cars looks like being repositioned here based on how they came off of pit road. So I think a couple of those cars that are going by Carl didn't pit, and back to what you were talking about.
They have to line up. Yeah. The cars that pitted have to line up behind cars that did not, and with a big track, long track like this, that's what makes it an issue, because sometimes they're not by that pit road exit by the time these cars come out, so they have to actually wait on them to get by before they line up.
All right, so while we watch these guys get ready for the restart, Doc is in the 60s pits. Doc, what are they thinking?
Well, let's check in with Drew. And Drew, you had to make a decision there to come in when the other guys came in and top off, or now that you're back in heavy traffic, or you could have rolled the dice and stayed out. Do you think you made the right call?
I think so. I want to be on the same fuel and the same strategy as the cars that were as fast as we were, I thought, on the racetrack. So if we had the same amount of fuel as the 32, the 98, and some of those guys, I think that puts us in a good position.
Okay, his guy's back in traffic, but he wanted the extra fuel window there in case they have to go green, white, checker, but he's got a lot of work to do.
All right, Doc, so we are not going green this time. And so we will take a break, come back, line them up for the restart, and get this thing back underway, hopefully. Coming to 18 laps to go, and Brad Coleman is the new leader of the Bucyrus 200 at Road America.
Bucyrus 200 at Road America is brought to you by Bucyrus, passion for mining technology. Your Honda dealer. Go to shophonda.com to enter for a chance to start an IndyCar race with Mario Andretti. And Lumix digital cameras, compact with impact from Panasonic, ideas for life.
Looking down on beautiful Road America from our Fastenal Helicam as we wait for this race to get back underway. Field working its way down to turn number 3 of the 14-turn, 4-mile Road America course with right now Brad Coleman being the race leader. Coleman among those who chose not to pit under this caution flag. Let's hear from his team. Why, Mike?
And catching up now with Jason Ratcliffe. And we heard on your radio not too long ago before the red flag asking Brad to save fuel, yet you didn't bring him down pit road. I would think that's a pretty obvious sign that you feel pretty good about it.
Well, we're close. This extra caution lap, maybe one more, should put us right at 50. So it's going to be close. We got 29 laps to go, so the odds of getting more caution laps from what we've seen so far are pretty good. So if we can get another couple more, we should be good to go to the end.
Rolling the dice, but they feel pretty confident, Doc.
And let's see what they're thinking down here in the Brad Keselowski pit. Paul Wolf, you guys opted to stay out comfortable. Can you make it on fuel?
Yeah, we're good with Discount Tire Dodge. Brad's done an awesome job all day just staying out of trouble, and now we got our track position. We've just gotten real good mileage all weekend. We got to thank all the guys at Penske Engines. They've worked real hard to get us fuel mileage, and I think it's going to pay off for us today.
By the way, Brad has said time and again, I am baby in the car, baby in the brakes and the shifter. It is almost go time, so we may not have seen what that 22 has. Jamie.
Well, Doc, J.R. Fitzpatrick, the best he's been all day. Fourth right now, Tony Eury Jr., crew chief. How you guys looking on fuel?
We're looking good. I mean, we were right there. This caution right here has kind of helped us out. We topped off, I think we was probably about 1 of 3 cars. So we're good to go to the end. So we got our track position now, so we can turn him loose and we'll see what happens.
It's been a tough couple of days for him adjusting to this race car. They got it right. Let's see if he can hang on and bring it home in a top 5 position. Alan?
All right, Jamie, thanks. So 12 cars didn't pit under this yellow flag. And so Carl Edwards is running in 13th position now for the restart. And just as Brad Keselowski in this 22 went by the camera last time, you might have noticed a flashing red light in his back window. Remember that coming to a road course, these teams have to be equipped to run in the rain. So not only do they have on the front windshield a mount for a windshield wiper, which they could put on in a pit stop if they had to, but in that back glass they have to have a marker light that would be an aid to the cars behind them, trying to see them through a rooster tail. It might be thrown up if they were running in the rain.
I had no idea they could run that light under conditions when it's not raining, though. I mean,
probably inadvertently got a switch on that's running that light. I bet he doesn't even know it's on.
Yeah, but it's just so folk. I'm sure somebody saw that and said, huh, what's that red light in the back of that car? Well, that's what it is. It's the marker light for use in the rain were we to have wet conditions here at Road America. And thankfully, thus far, we've been very dry and bright and sunny on this Saturday afternoon. So right of the screen there, flagman giving the field the 1-to-go signal. That is out at the exit of the carousel. So we're about a half a lap from the green flag. And we'll reset the front of the field for you. It's Brad Coleman leading. Brad Keselowski is second. Third is Ron Fellows. J.R. Fitzpatrick is fourth. Brendan Gaughan fifth. Michael McDowell sixth. Tim George Jr. seventh. Michael Annett eighth. Ron Hornaday ninth. Patrick Long 10th. Mike Bliss 11th. Brian Scott 12th. None of those cars pitted under this yellow flag. Then Carl Edwards in 13th, followed by the guys who were there with him on the racetrack at the time, Villeneuve and Menard and so on, and all the people that were chasing him just before this whole cycle of stops shuffled up the deck.
I'll tell you what, Alan, I'm with Andy on staying out. Brad Coleman, Brad Keselowski, Fellows, all these guys, I got to believe there's going to be more cautions. I think they've saved enough fuel right now. Probably a really good call to stay out. Gamble a little bit at this time because I've watched this thing many times on road courses, and there are always cautions at the end.
Ron Fellows up to third spot, Doc.
And let's find out what Pops Yuri's thinking. Pops, how close are you on fuel? Can you make it?
We're real close. I think we can. I think that they didn't go that time, and I think that got us where we need to be. It's going to be close. It's definitely going to be close for sure, but Ron's doing everything he can to save, and that Chevrolet's getting pretty good gas mileage today, too. So, pretty happy where we're at, and we just got our fingers crossed. Hopefully we can. If we can't, that 7 car's got one more lap on us because he stopped and topped off, so if we can't do it, maybe he can.
And Ron Fellows, by the way, had said he was going to save this car, and he has been saving it, although they had some damage on the hood and front. They feel like they got something for him maybe in these final laps. And by the way, Pops, a moment ago before I asked the question, he said we are real close in this final lap.
All right, Doc, thanks. Finally, about to see the green flag again. Brad Coleman, Brad Keselowski on the front row. Will they get through this first lap without stacking a bunch of them up in everybody's hurry to get to the finish? We are back under the green. Oh, boy.
They try to get that inside lane, just can't seem to pull it off. Take a look at Fellows on the inside trying to make a pass and Gaughan. Gets inside Keselowski.
Yeah, Keselowski, really, that outside lane on the restart is really hurting a lot of guys. We see Keselowski lose spots. We saw Paul Menard lose the second spot on that restart where he was on the outside.
Close call back there with the 21 and 81. A little contact off of turn number 3. Everybody got away okay. McDowell and George. Hornaday, outside dive into turn 5.
Ooh, gets a little high. Ooh, out in those ripple strips. Just can't get the traction there.
Oh, boy, three wide. This was the trouble spot last time up this hill. They're bouncing off each other.
It's all in front of Carl Edwards.
Oh, we see Michael Annette getting all sideways right there.
Out of shape. Uh-oh, there goes the 21 getting punted. He's going to save it, though.
What Carl Edwards must be thinking in the middle of all this and watching it happen in front of him.
Carl's like, you guys go ahead and clear yourself out of the way. I'm coming through. You got to believe that he's going to get aggressive now and just charge right through this pack. He's had the best handling car. The front end's turned real good on it. And that's what you got to have if you're going to pass cars here. A good turning car and good brakes.
Well, he's not getting any brakes from some of the cars in front of him, though. All these cars are racing Carl Edwards for these spots.
Oh, boy.
That's moving over.
Man, see Patrick Long all over him. Just mentioned Long knows what he's doing. Finished.
Three wide to the inside in Canada corner. Is he going to make it stop?
Oh, man. That was a great move. Look at Carl now getting off the course.
Woo. Wow. That might have been the race right there.
That was a big, bold move from Villeneuve. Now Menard trying the same kind of move.
Oh, look at this. He shoved him right out there.
Here comes Edwards. Looking to gain back that ground he lost. Bottom of the screen, Brad Coleman pressured by Brendan Gaughan for the lead. Farther back, here's Villeneuve. Somebody locking up the brakes down into turn 1.
A lot of smoke. That's not just brake lock up there.
Is that McDowell?
That's a lot of smoke out of McDowell's car.
And the right front broke.
Something in the right front broke is what he just said on the radio.
Yeah, he's got, man, it looks like it might be engine.
So something in the car broke?
A lot of smoke.
Yeah, something just broke.
It could be a tire on that right front, though.
He was
I'll pull over into the grass over here. Try to get it off an escaper. Yeah, I don't know what happened. Something in the motor just broke, that's all.
He was 6th at the time. We stay under green. This is for the lead. Coleman, Gaughan, Fellows, Keselowski.
Yeah, those three have really got a good car. Brendan Gaughan really loves road racing. Enjoys this car. Came up here and tested a historic car about 2 weeks ago. Learned a little bit about the track from veteran road racer Butch Leitzinger. Butch taught him a lot. Looks like it's paying off for him.
I'm still thinking about that move Villeneuve made into turn 12 there last time by into Canada corner.
That was cool.
That might just be the move of the race. We'll see how it plays out. Check out the former Formula One champion, former winner at this racetrack in open wheel racing, down Kettle Bottoms to turn 12.
Boy, 3 wide into turn 12 with Carl Edwards on the outside. And he gets that car slowed down just enough not to overshoot the corner, make it work.
Carl Edwards looking for a way through.
Now watch this. You see Villeneuve.
Man.
Inside on the inside.
Carl gets forced off the track right off of that corner.
Yeah, Carl really got pushed way wide out in the grass and did a great job bringing that thing back on course. These guys are getting wider and wider.
3 wide down into the Canada corner. We'll get them, guys.
So Carl is running 10th. Villeneuve is 8th. Menard between them. And Villeneuve is... he's got a pretty good bit of ground to make up to catch Brad Coleman up in front.
Yeah, showing a full 10 seconds behind the leader at this point.
Yeah, it looks like he's just going to have to knock off as many people as he can right now. Hope for another caution to close him back up.
Yeah, where he can make another move like that.
Yeah, because this is a lot of distance. He's behind right now. He's just not strong enough to drive to the front and get it done now. In fact, his last time by a 1:39.40. And that's about a second.
Oh, contact. Menard into Villeneuve, turn 5.
And now
Edwards going to try and go through.
Now looks like Menard holds on to this guy.
Got nailed in the back, guys.
Ooh,
It's getting a little dicey.
Villeneuve did a great job right there to save the car.
Well, what I was about to say, Carl was about 3/4 of a second faster when he was leading. Now he's almost a second slower than the leader being in the back like that.
This is going downhill to turn 5. We talked about it being a trouble spot and a passing opportunity. It was both.
Oh, yeah, you see him wheel hopping. I heard Menard's...
Paul Menard's car wheel hop.
Yeah, wheel hop. He couldn't stop. Let's listen to it. Oh.
Then you see the wheel hop start with Villeneuve.
See the hood damage on the 98 car, Paul Menard there from hitting Villeneuve in the back. But, you know, these brakes are starting to get weak right now. We're hearing some reports are starting to overheat. Some of the cars out there are. Wow. When that happens, you don't have a braking problem. You don't have the stopping power, I mean.
Hornaday pushing hard. This is for the lead right here.
That was J.R. Fitzpatrick throwing up all the dust off of Canada corner. Brad Coleman leading Brendan Gaughan.
And they're actually pulling away from Fellows, who's a fantastic road racer, driving Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s car, which has been good all week long.
Great rally for the 62, by the way. Remember, he spun early in the race, lap 4, fell back to 19th place, then had that lucky the break. They pitted under green, and the caution came out just after they got onto pit road.
And that saved him so much track position and got him back in the race. He's got a shot to win now.
Well, the only bad thing about this with Gaughan and 18 car Coleman and Keselowski, yeah, all these guys, they can't save fuel. They're all running hard. They're getting pressed, so they can't coast a little bit.
Oh, contact there. Oh, Tim George into Ron Hornaday, around and crunch.
Not sure if Villeneuve didn't catch a piece of that.
Man, that's some damage on that side of the 21.
Out of 2.
Yellow's out. Wonder if somebody else got into the 21 to cause that.
21 shit just punted us.
5th caution flag of the race. Richard Childress Racing and Kevin Harvick Incorporated cars tangling in turn 3.
Track bars broke on the 33 car. See the back of the car?
I think
he's got more
Don't
problems
burn
now.
that motor up. Don't burn the motor up.
See underneath the back of the 33, the bar dragging on the ground. He's just broke a part also there, Andy.
It's probably from the contact they had when the 21 car got
All right,
in the left
Gotta
rear.
go behind the wall, put a track bar in it real quick, guys.
Definitely getting in the back of Hornaday. Man, that was a close call for Villeneuve again.
Yes, sir.
You know, Andy, we talked a little while ago about these brakes. You saw the 98 Menard wheel hop, and you saw this just happen. These guys can't stop these cars right now.
Well, the brakes are starting to get to the point where they're not working nearly as good as they did in the start of the race, and these drivers are pushing harder and harder.
Yeah, so that was a race for 7th, gone bad, in turn number 3. And probably going to send both the George and Hornaday cars behind the wall for repairs. See that track bar on the 33 car just hanging down as he tries to limp back around for the caution flag. Tell you what it does do for Menard and Edwards and Villeneuve. It takes 2 of the guys that were in front of them out of the running order. And for Jason Leffler, he of the 3 times pit road speeding penalty, it gets him the Aaron's Lucky Dog free pass. He was the first driver a lap down. He'll come back around onto the lead lap now. Jason Leffler running in 28th position.
And he's thinking, thank gosh, finally.
He's got some damage there. He was involved in the big wreck up in turn 6 that put us under the red flag for some 31 minutes. So for Carl Edwards, the pit strategy cycled him back in traffic. Then got shuffled out in the jam as the guys who had been the leaders tried to get through some of the other guys who didn't pit down at Canada corner, lost those few spots. Then he got around both Villeneuve and Menard when they tangled in turn 5, and now he was about 7 seconds behind the leaders, Coleman and Gaughan, and the yellow flag closes that all the way up. And Carl's going to have a whole lot better shot at this thing.
Yeah, he's still going to be behind Paul Menard. I think Paul was able to stay in front of Carl, but they're going to be about 7th place. I think where Carl will start, 6th place for Menard.
You would think as fast as Carl Edwards' car was, he would be able to pick up more spots than only 5 since that last restart. And it just goes to show you how big this track is and how hard it is to pass on this place. Like I said earlier, he was a second slower, guys, back in this pack than he was leading.
You know, the other thing we were seeing on that last restart was some awful defensive driving from some of those guys up front.
Especially down in turn 1.
All right, so we are under caution for the 5th time after trouble in turn number 3 between Ron Hornaday in 33 and Tim George Jr. in the 21. He slides through the middle there. Woo, close. 35, Tony Ave. Nice move at the Bucyrus 200. Just after the last restart. The Bucyrus 200 presented by Menards at Road America. Make sure to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. Just part of our weekend's motorsports coverage here on the ESPN networks. It's the E3 Spark Plugs NHRA Thunder Valley Nationals qualifying from Thunder Valley in Bristol. Tonight at 7 Eastern on ESPN2. And the finals tomorrow at 4 Eastern also on ESPN2. NASCAR now going to wrap up the weekend's road course action with the roundtable Monday night, late night showing, midnight Eastern time, ESPN2. And then next weekend it's on to New Hampshire. Our coverage on ESPN Saturday at 2:30 Eastern time as the NASCAR Nationwide Series heads to the Magic Mile. Danica Patrick, Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, all those guys back in the field with Brad and Carl and etc. And that is next Saturday afternoon from New England. Caution flag out for the 5th time in today's Bucyrus 200. This one after Ron Hornaday and Tim George Jr. Collected each other off of turn number 3. Hornaday has driven his car to the garage.
I believe this last caution right here, guys, probably tuned everybody's concern about running out of fuel right up. It's probably got it where they can make it now.
Now, I want to go back and look at something here. When they were going down that back straightaway, the Kettle Bottoms, into turn number 12, we saw a lot of guys, how shall I say this, defensively driving?
Yeah, you'll see to try to defend a move like you saw Villeneuve make, where he uses those brakes to drive in there under somebody. The way to defend against that is to try to pull over and take away the lane. But that can get you spun out as well.
Yeah, and you know, in other forms of racing, road racing series, open wheel racing, so on, they have a rule. You know, you can pick one line, but you got to hold that line. Once you know, for example, you're going down that straightaway, you can select driver's right, the inside line for that corner, but then you got to stay there. If you change lines, you're subject to a penalty.
Well, in NASCAR, it's a free-for-all. You can do whatever you want out of there.
Boys.
You don't have to worry about the rest of the guys, that's for sure.
So it's going to be interesting to see if there's more defensive driving here this time when they go down some of these straightaways.
You know, one thing I should say also, on these road courses, on restarts, these cars don't handle real good for about the first lap. I mean, they got to get the heat back in the tires, get the brakes kind of warmed back up. I've seen a lot of problems on restarts on road courses because these cars just don't handle as good.
Jamie?
Well, guys, Ron Hornaday Jr., you see him there in the 33. Ernie Cope, crew chief, on the left-hand side. He said, guys, this is going to be a quick fix. We don't need jack stands. Let's just jack the car up on each side. That's what they've done. They did just top it off with fuel. They put 4 new tires on there. They went inside the cockpit and actually re-hooked up the air cooling system. You hear it get fired up there. They push them away. They're going to try to salvage some points. Remember, KHI going for the Owners' Championship. Alan?
Going to be 1 lap down. And the better part of a second here by the time he gets on the track and motors away. Doc?
Yeah, I checked with Brad Parrott on the 62 car. I said, when you guys pitted on lap 27, can you make it? He said, Doc, what is my sponsor? I said, my sponsor's a casino. I said, I'm paid to gamble. He said, so I'm going to gamble. He said, my car owner hired me, and if we get this close, I'm going to gamble. That's why he's got me here. So they're gambling, but it's really close, guys.
It's a good point. Sponsored by a casino. I haven't thought about that one.
Restart, 12 laps to go. Carl Edwards in 7th spot. Brad Coleman leading in the 18 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. It is Brendan Gaughan gambling on the outside of that front row. And championship leader Brad Keselowski in the 22. There along with Ron Fellows as we go back at it.
You've seen that guy on the outside not be able to hold that spot and get into turn 1. Keselowski's in there.
No, boy, too far
he's really in there.
The leader bumped aside. Keselowski goes through into the number 1 spot, but for how long as they go down the hill?
Well, I know Coleman lots of positions, but that was cool, keeping it on the track versus getting in those gravel traps. That'd ruin his day.
Oh, look at Villeneuve make another 3-wide move.
Coming through.
Oh, Menard's got big damage on that hood.
Gone. Keselowski side by side for the lead. Villeneuve third. Fellows fourth. Edwards fifth. Keselowski couldn't quite get it wound down last corner. What's going to happen here? Look at Villeneuve on the inside.
He can't stop. He's locked up.
Yeah, he's going to hurt that left front tire doing that. He's going to get the spot, but did he have to pay the price with that tire getting flat spotted?
He's going to get the lead. Brendan gone wide off turn 5. Villeneuve to the front. Here comes Edwards for second.
And where'd Carl Edwards come from? Look at that. All the way up in the second spot now.
He came from 7th on the restart.
Woo! 7th to second? I mean, what a job. Well, look at that left front tire just smoking big time in Jacques' car.
And look at all those cars wiggling as these guys lean on those brakes coming into those corners. Wow.
See, once you flat spot a tire, every time it'll want to find that same spot when you're under hard braking and make it even worse. So Villeneuve's going to have a hard time holding off Carl Edwards if he flat spotted that tire.
Yeah, I would have thought he would have had a problem going through turn 9 just then, but I'm sorry, the carousel. It didn't smoke, but it doesn't have near the downforce in that carousel as it does under braking. So we'll watch the next braking zone for him.
Through the kink down to Canada corner. Farther back, Keselowski racing Fellows. 4th place there. There's Villeneuve again leaning on that left front.
You know what? It wasn't flat spotting. It was rubbing that fender where he's got damage. That's why we see so much smoke. He probably was not locking that tire.
Uh-oh. Got one around. 23 car, Alex Kennedy, the youngster from New Mexico, right in the middle of Canada corner. Track blocked. And the caution's out.
Boy, nobody can see anything. Mike Bliss right in the door of him, too, the 40 car. Looks like he's got big damage in front of his car. See the radiator fluid flowing out from that 40 car?
Look at all the gravel scattered everywhere.
Oh, man. Late in these runs, these guys
just up if we can. Let's go. Come on
can't
around.
be patient. And I still think this brake's a problem right now, Andy. I think these guys can't slow these cars down.
So Mike Bliss and the youngster Alex Kennedy find trouble in turn 12 and bring out the full course caution once again here at Road America. Top of the screen. Well, there's one gets turned around. Is that Patrick Long? And Coleman tangle. That's Trevor Bayne and Coleman. I didn't even see that the first time.
These guys just can't stay away from each other. And T-bone right in the door right there. The only good thing about that, he's running about 20 miles an hour. Not a big hit.
Oh, boy. Colin Brown. Now from Steve Wallace. Oh, boy. That is a look of displeasure.
Mike Bliss hadn't had much luck lately. Crashed last week at Kentucky.
Yep. And there is Kennedy's car coming to pit road.
Hey, Alex Kennedy, he's been good all through practice. Thursday he was fast here, and Friday's practice he was good. This has been a car that generally we don't see up front of the pack a lot. Obviously he's had problems today, but it was fast all week long. The guy did a great job, but just late in this run, everybody crashed and sliding off the course.
Off the left front of it.
18-year-old recent graduate from Aztec, New Mexico High School, and making his Nationwide Series debut today. Not the graduation present he was hoping for.
Yeah, and he just said the left front brake rotor was broken off that car. Is that what he said?
They have something broke in the left front. Didn't know exactly what that was. If it's a brake rotor, they'll have to go back behind the wall and fix it.
The brake, left front rotor's broke.
Yeah, they'll have to go back behind the wall and fix that.
Well, through that whole adventurous run from when we got the restart with 17 to go to when the caution flag came out with 12 to go, Doc, the 32 car ended up back out front.
How about that? How about that move by Jacques Villeneuve? Now, a lot of things happening to your guys. Now you're back up front. How concerned are you about that smoke under heavy braking?
Yeah, we got into, I think, the 21 car when they spun, and you know, we needed to get a good look at it. Thankfully, you guys showed us that, but it does have a rub under heavy braking. Got about 10 laps to go here, so we're gonna pray it makes it. I don't think there's really any concerns. It's under heavy braking, so it should clearance itself here.
I heard Jacques tell you a moment ago he thought it was getting less in that last lap as he went by.
Yeah, as the lap went on, he thought it was getting less, so that means it's starting to clearance itself, and we just hope the tire makes it through the end of the race.
Are you surprised the 60 guys came over a moment ago and told you it's rubbing really, really bad?
Oh, not at all. I'm sure it was flat in their mind. So, but hopefully it'll stay together and we can give a good race, and it's going to be exciting here.
Okay, Carl Edwards, by the way, told him to go up there and tell these guys it's going to be like really a bad rub on that car.
Imagine that. So there's the... what's that, Rusty, you say?
It looks like we're seeing some cords on the edge of the 32 car, some strands of rubber flopping around like the car's cut. And obviously, if it keeps air in it, it's going to be okay, but it looks like it's damaged pretty good, the tire itself.
There's no guarantee it's going to be okay. I think it's rubbing really hard.
And we've seen a lot, Andy, this year when cars touch, especially the left rears, in the oval track races, it seems like they're always getting cut down, and he just got hammered.
Well,
in the left front.
The crew chief, he has to be optimistic because he can't pull him in and pit now. He might as well just, you know, give it up. But he's going to leave it out there and gamble that it'll hold.
And Trent talked about this thing, it clearance itself. I mean, that does happen a lot. A lot of times when you dive down in there and that tire goes up and hits that metal, it'll just knock it right out of the way. And if it doesn't, it usually cuts the tire.
Yeah, more times than not, this will cause a flat tire.
Look at all the gravel down there.
See right here where he goes down in the corner and just smokes like crazy. I thought he was sliding the left front, or sliding the wheel, but it's just that tire rub that was causing all the smoke.
Yeah, I actually thought that he overcooked it and locked the tire up, but you're right, it wasn't.
Man, what a move he made to get the lead, though. Holy cow.
That was something. So Villeneuve's out front, but will that left front tire last? Carl Edwards has gotten through most of the mess unscathed. He's back to second now, but he'll have that driver's left line for the restart into turn one that has not proved very good.
It's been vulnerable. I mean, you get hung out right there, and if that guy on the inside of the next second row gets a good start, he'll take that spot from him.
And our point leader, Brad Keselowski, he's got some left front fender damage. I don't think it's hurting him too bad right now, but that car's got some pretty decent damage on the 22 car, the discount tire car.
And you can see it from here, how much that fender's all wrinkled in, the hood's crinkled up. And remember, he got into Brad Coleman going down into turn one on that last restart that shuffled the 18 out of the lead and kind of set off that whole melee that the next lap became.
It's definitely been bumper cars. I mean, one car hits another, knocks him into another.
Coleman been shuffled all the way back to 10th spot now. He was leading on the last restart. Doc?
Down here with Brad Parrott and Brendan Gaughan's crew. And what did Brendan say a moment ago when he looked at that 32 car?
Yeah, he said, wow, I can't believe that 32 is going to risk it. You know, Trent Owens and that whole Dollar General team with Jacques done a great job today. And, you know, I just hope they clear that tire okay and, you know, don't take any more cars out. There's a lot of damage with the 98 and the 22 behind us, I see. And, you know, they knock each other out of the way and stuff. But, you know, we just don't want to be the accident that somebody gets over aggressive and everything. You know, everybody's aggressive at the end of these races, and South Point Toyota Camry's been doing great today. The pit crew's been awesome. We only made two pit stops, but can't thank Jason Stockert and our whole team back at the shop. You know, Jason's our engineer. He's done fuel mileage. I don't know how many Tums he's ate today, but he's ate a lot and been a nervous wreck all day, and I don't blame him. But, you know, been doing this a long time, Doc. You know, this comes natural to me, and just want to thank Rusty and the whole organization for giving us a shot to be here today.
They are having a great run down here. And by the way, Brendan, a moment ago on the radio, sounded very confident he might have something for those guys in front of him here in these final few laps. Jamie.
And Brian Barry now. We're joined here on the pit box for Tony Ave. How about that save by your boy on that last, what brought out the caution?
Yeah, you just put that in the wow group. That was pretty cool. We saw that and it was like, oh boy, yeah, that's pretty good. We'll take that one. He's done a great job today, though. It's really cool to have somebody his experience here, especially us, you know, unsponsored Chevrolet here in the top 10. I mean, having a pretty decent day. We'll see what we can get here at the end. Good on fuel. See what we can do with it.
He's sitting 9th right now, second ever nationwide start. Is this car good enough to get you guys to the front here?
I mean, I'd like to tell you it was. We'll just see what he can do with it here. I mean, he's a road race guy. We've done the best we could with what we had and giving it to him, and he's done one hell of a job here, so we'll see what he can do.
He's been running top 10 all day, Alan, and wow factor is right on that save.
Current point leader in the Trans Am Series is Tony Abe, 38-year-old from Hurley, Wisconsin, about 260 miles northwest of us here at Road America in Elkhart Lake. He's had a couple of Sprint Cup starts in his background on the road courses as well. And he's given that team a thrill today so far into the top 10. Ron Hornaday there you see just behind the pace car. He is going to be the free pass on this caution. And he's going to get to pass that pace car at the 1 to go. He'll be 26th in line for the restart. Meantime, 32 leader Jacques Villeneuve. We listen in on his radio.
Our only chance to win is to try to make it last the rest of the race.
Okay, so what can I do driving-wise? Or just hope it clears itself?
You just do your thing and hope it clears itself.
Basically nothing.
Yeah.
Just hang on to it, do what you can do, try to win this thing, and if it holds up, it holds, and if it doesn't, it doesn't.
At least he didn't tell him just cross your fingers.
Well, basically that's what he told him.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just hope that the tire doesn't fail in a critical spot, a right hand or like the kink. We all talk about the kink, how that can be a problem. If you lose a tire there, you'll have a big wreck. If you have it in the carousel, you'll probably just slide off and it'll be okay.
Yeah. Been quite the adventurous day for the former Formula One champion, Jacques Villeneuve. Starting this race on the outside of the front row. Some bold moves back in traffic to try and make up some lost ground after strategy shuffled him back. This was just a little while ago at Canada Corner when he got by Carl Edwards and Patrick Long.
Yeah, he feels like this is a key part for him because if he can get by Carl Edwards, that's his biggest competition. Feels like he can pass the rest of these cars. Carl, on the other hand, was going to be very hard to pass.
Then he got some damage when Paul Menard bumped him out of the way. Got jammed up in traffic, then made this move after the last restart to get through and into the lead. That was down in turn 5.
You know, I'm watching Jock here. I'm thinking, who does he remind me of right now? Who's that aggressive and gets away with it and wins? He honestly reminds me, Andy, of Marcus Ambrose, the way he drives. Marcus just really charges through the field. We watch him at Montreal. A great driver on a road course. And this guy right here, Jacques Villeneuve, I don't see much difference right now, the way they're driving.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think both of those are excellent.
And I mean that in a good way.
Yeah.
You see that drivers not born in the United States have won 3 of the last 4 races in the Nationwide Series and road courses. You put Marcus Ambrose in that category. 5 drivers got their first Nationwide Series win on a road course.
So what's Carl Edwards need to do right here, Rusty, on this restart?
He's got to come to the gearbox and restart like John Force and get it done. Not spin the tires and try to outrun them down into turn 1. The problem is we know that Jacques going to get down to turn 1 and he's not going to slow up much. We've watched him be very aggressive, but Carl's just going to have to clear him.
You also got Paul Menard starting on that second row inside. That's going to be a good spot for him to try to get another spot from Carl.
Carl's got the advantage. He's got the special shifter.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Doc.
And guys, Carl Edwards just said a moment ago, he is very concerned and does not want to start on the outside, on the left side of that 32 car on the restart for 2 reasons. First of all, Jacques Villeneuve has never done a double file restart as a leader in a NASCAR race, and that could be a little interesting. And also, those first 2 turns are right-handers, and that left front tire is going to take a lot of abuse, and Carl could be out there when that thing does go. So very concerned right now for Carl.
Well, we'll see. I don't know that we've seen the last of the caution flag with 9 laps to go as they take the green here, but it's Villeneuve to the inside, Edwards to driver's left, the outside going to turn 1. We come to the restart, 9 laps to go, and after all we've seen so far, what's going to happen next?
Can I close my eyes and open them back up on turn 3?
Miss all the fun.
Well, Doc got him on the restart. Came to the gearbox a lot better, but Carl's on the inside now. That's where he needs to be.
Little crossover. Is he going to be able to outbrake him? He's going to try.
He's got him.
If he doesn't overshoot it. How about that?
Oh, man.
Clear. All clear.
That's what he needed.
Oh, another crossover now. Oh.
Defensive line into turn 3 for Edwards. That was Brendan Gaughan kicking up the dust off the course.
Now we saw how fast Edwards was at the beginning of this race when he got in the lead, really laying these big-time lap times down.
Right here. Villeneuve looking to try to outbrake Carl, but not going to do it.
And I really think if Carl can get some heat back in these tires, he can start checking out of his field.
Buddy.
You know, the key thing on that restart for Carl was getting a great start and actually being able to get in front of Menard. Menard now going off track.
Oh, you get a little help? That is going to drop Paul from 3rd spot, much farther back in line.
I can't believe we're not having flat tires with all this gravel on this racetrack, and these guys are just in this gravel all the time, but these Goodyears are really holding up. Oh, and outside, Keselowski in the carousel.
J.R. Fitzpatrick in the 7, Patrick Long in the 9. Ooh. Careful in this corner coming up here.
On the outside through the carousel. Keselowski trying to make
the kink. And the kink. Oh, boy.
Oh.
The brave man.
Charging down through Kettle Bottoms to Canada Corner. Who's going to win out in this one?
Well, you better hope they all stop.
Look at Brad off the track.
Out of control.
Hard on the brakes. No, there's Long around. Brad Coleman avoids. Outside.
You just knew something was going to happen. They weren't all going to fit in there. And big damage on Patrick Long's left rear right there.
We stay under green. He was running in 7th spot, was Patrick Long. Meantime, Carl Edwards has checked out. Had a 7-second lead earlier in the race. Built up a 7-second lead on that longish green flag run that we had. Now Villeneuve, if you're him, if you're Trent Owens, you're telling him, look, we got to make that tire last now, right?
Yeah, and it's rubbing less. You see just a little bit of smoke going in the corner there, so it is clearancing itself somewhat.
Ooh, wow.
So gaggle of cars right here going down into turn 3 now.
Yes, Paul Menard kicked all the way back to 10th by that off-track moment in turn number 6, last lap by. Don't know for sure if he got helped or not, but I think it's a decent possibility anyway.
Well, you see Paul's car tore up in the front. That hood on Paul Menard's car is really jumping around in that car.
He got
Trevor
that down.
Bayne, 99. Steve Wallace, 66. Menard into the 05 of Gonzalez. That's turn 5. Woo. Methinks the patience are running out.
Either that or just like Rusty said, the brakes. I think a lot of cars and a lot of drivers are struggling with the wheel hop.
These guys just don't, they just don't look like they can stop, Andy. Just what you said, and it's pretty obvious now. That's probably the problem.
That's how Paul Menard got the damage on the hood. Is he wheel hop, get in the corner, got in the back of.
Nope, there's going to be contact there too.
Almost the same thing you see right there with Stephen Wallace and Trevor Bayne, and now Brian Scott goes around.
Oh boy.
Clear. Go, 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 go.
8 laps to go. You got to remember that. Tension's building. These guys are trying to get away from each other. But Carl Edwards talking about getting away.
So Brian Scott was running 13th there at the moment. Not anymore. And more, the end of this race, if you're Brad Keselowski, is looking like a just keep it on the pavement race and get a decent finish out of it.
You got to be happy for this guy right here, J.R. Fitzpatrick. He's got himself out of trouble. He's learned a lot. Look, he's lost a car. He's been spun around a couple times in practice. But right now, he's doing a great job for Dale Earnhardt Jr.
And as we talked about for the past couple of weeks, trying to keep that 7 car top 30 in owner points for Danica's return to it next
Very
week,
important.
New Hampshire.
Tell you what, Alan, New Hampshire is a very, very tough place to get qualified at. And I hope Danica qualifies well, but if not, she needs those points to get in that race.
A little farther back, here's Paul Menard. In 27, Owen Kelly. The Baker curb car trying to pick his way through a little bit. And that is for 9th and 10th positions. Steve Wallace just behind them in 11th. Again, defensive line into turn 3.
Look at them. They're really just blocking each other big time, getting down into that corner. These guys, all 3 of these guys getting real aggressive, and the 27 car of Owen Kelly's like, you guys quit. Give me a break.
And I'm just going to suggest, tell me if I'm right or wrong here, Mr. Driver, but after you've been knocked off the course and bounced around a little bit a little while ago, your patience with somebody playing defensively when you've got a faster car than he or appear to be faster isn't going to be great.
No, it's not going to be great either. And I would say Steven got in the back of Trevor. I got a feeling that Trevor's getting ready to get in the back of Steven.
Off course there for Kelly.
Man, these guys are driving hard right now. And just off the track, dust and dirt and rocks everywhere.
Tell you what, though, nice job by Owen Kelly in that 27 car today. 33-year-old from Tasmania. He's come up through kind of the same path that Marcos Ambrose did in their racing from the Formula Fords and the V8 supercars. He's kind of raced in Australia's version of the Nationwide Series the last number of years, a level below the supercar series, and done very well. A lot of wins in that series. Come over here, raced Dale Jr.'s late model car the last couple of seasons, and in his Nationwide Series debut today here at Road America.
Tell you what, Dale Jr. has been really good at finding talent. And this 27 car, a Baker Curve, it's been strong all year long. You saw Greg Biffle drive it to, good finishes this year. It's a good team. But boy, Menard is just all over him. He's actually holding Menard up a little bit right now. Oh, this might be the move.
Look out, inside. Not quite. Turn 14, up the hill to the start-finish line. 6 laps to go.
Well,
sorry, go ahead, Rusty.
Just turn 1 is a real suck. Oh, I started to say everybody wants a dive bomb getting into turn 1 to make that pass. And it's all about how good your brakes are at that point.
Just joining us, Carl Edwards started on pole. He's pretty much been the dominant driver on the race, but he's been shuffled back in traffic a couple of times. Pit strategy, different pit stop schedules, and other things. We also had a 31-minute red flag for a 10-car pileup in turn number 6, just about halfway through the race. Edwards, not all that long ago, was sitting back 13th in line after Steve Wallace overshooting turn 5.
Saw that one going wrong. Saw that one going wrong.
Right rear corner of Trevor Bain, trying to get back on the track.
And some left front damage there.
Yeah, that's pretty well ruined his good run he had going on.
Oops, as Stan Barrett off turn 6. Is he going to get it going? Probably not.
He's on the edge, but I don't think he's going to be able to get out of that.
Carl Edwards with a 2-second lead on second place. Gone. Yellow flag. 7th caution flag of the day. I think I spoke too soon earlier in the race. We went through the first half of the race with just a couple of caution flags. For one was for a mechanical problem and a car stopped on course, and one was for an engine that blew up. And then we got to halfway.
Look at this. Look at Drew.
And they've been stacking them up.
Oh, we got to go through another restart.
Yep. So Carl Edwards' 2-second lead is gone. A look again at turn number 6, where Stanton Barrett got turned off the course and caught the gravel trap for a second time today.
The gravel trap is real thick, and if you can see right there, it's just covering up all the way to the axle center line.
Oh yeah, right up to the center line. And you got to believe when NASCAR comes back next year, I hope they do. This is a fantastic track that they'll get some of that gravel down. I understand for safety, but I just think it's too much. And you would hope it would slow the car down, Andy. You could drive out of it at the same point, but these guys are just getting buried.
Well, the primary objective of that is really to keep a car from hitting something hard, and to stop the car. That's the first thing. Now, it does cause these kind of problems in full course cautions to try to get cars that are in it, but you can't argue with the fact of how well it works.
So the leaders crossing the start-finish line, leaving us now 5 laps to go in this race. Looking down on the Road America circuit from our aerial coverage provided by Fastenal. Dr. Jerry Punch is looking on in the 60 team's pit. Doc, that was a little bit of an anguished look on Drew Blickensderfer's face.
Was it ever? They said not again. We have to go through this one more time, and they've told Carl to back it down and just be very careful. Let's not abuse anything here these final laps. When I spoke with Carl before the race today, he told me there's obviously a lot of reasons I'd like to win today. I haven't won since last November 14th at Phoenix. It's been a long time for this crew of Roush Fenway. Ford hasn't won in 2010 in Nationwide or Cup. We want to change that this weekend both here and at Infineon. He said, but most importantly for me, he said, in 1999, when I was getting my career started, I had no sponsorship in Columbia, Missouri. I went to a tiny little dealership called Fastenal and asked them if they would help me out. I handed them a proposal written in ink with a pencil. He said they decided they would help me with some rivets and bolts and nuts, and I told them someday, if I make it in this sport, I will pay you guys back. Well, the Fastenal people here told him this morning they have never won a major stock car race. In spite of sponsoring Dale Earnhardt Jr., Bobby Hamilton, a lot of big names over the years, they have not had a car go to victory lane in a major series. So today, Carl Edwards said, I'm going to pay these people back.
He's working on it.
It's paying him back right now.
Got a little work left to do, though, as you see Stanton Barrett's car pulled out of the gravel trap in turn 6, and Carl Edwards following the pace car round inside of 5 laps to go.
What I'm worried about if I'm Drew Blickensderfer, though, this isn't just one more time. He may have to do it multiple times because they bunch these cars up, and we've seen what's happened. Everybody knows it's 5-4, 3 laps to go, and they're going to be pushing really hard. That's Mike Beam, one of the managers over at Roush Racing. It's helping on the pit box there with Drew Blickensderfer. Been around a long time.
Boy, what a great race to win, though. The inaugural event up here at Road America for the Nationwide Series. And did you see that trophy, that motorcycle?
Oh, man, that's beautiful.
Yeah, and Harley designed that beautiful trophy. Carl's got to be thinking, I'm so close to getting that.
And can I just wrap that back up to something we said earlier in the day, Rusty, which is what a great trip this has been.
It has. I have just loved this area up here. I've been here since Monday Allen. It's a beautiful area. And all the drivers I've talked to and all the fans just love it. I mean, this probably is definitely at the top of my list for one of the favorite stops so far on the Nationwide Series.
Aren't a whole lot of tracks in the United States that host major racing events that I haven't been to. This was one of them, and what a trip it's been. Our time spent down in Elkhart Lake over the weekend, very enjoyable. The people at the racetrack, what an operation they've got here, been very well done. And them dealing with NASCAR for the first time and figuring it all out. They've done a very nice job, and it's been a fun weekend here for us at Road America. We bring you the Bucyrus 200 for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Its inaugural trip here on this 4-mile, 14-turn road course. And a huge crowd looking on to see who's going to take away that trophy designed by Harley-Davidson at the end of this race. Beautiful afternoon it has turned out for racing. We've had a couple of lulls in the event when we had the big 30-minute red flag to clean up that mess in turn number 6. But right now they're getting ready to see a shootout to the finish here at Road America. Now, Harley-Davidson recently unveiled a street version of their new superbike, racing bike. That's it, the XR 1200. And the winner is going to get one of those today, plus the trophy that the Harley-Davidson designers have crafted for being the inaugural NASCAR Nationwide Series winner at Road America.
You know, Andy, when you win a big trophy, it just feels really cool. Like those Bristol trophies I've had, they're like 30 pounds.
They're giant.
And then you've had other tracks where you win them, they're made out of pot metal and old light stuff, and they just feel terrible, like they really don't mean anything. Well, this Harley trophy is out of steel. This baby's 50 pounds. It's heavy. It's like having a real watch instead of a fake one.
Okay. And from here, the NASCAR Nationwide Series moves on to New England and the New Hampshire Motor Speedway, then down to Daytona, the debut of the Nationwide Series new car, July the 2nd, Chicagoland, St. Louis, Indianapolis. Join us at any of those upcoming races. Information available at NASCAR.com/tickets. We look forward to seeing you as we follow the Nationwide Series throughout the summer of 2010. By the way, back on road courses, Watkins Glen, August 7th, and Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, August 29th. Circuit named for the father of our second-place driver. Jacques Villeneuve has had quite a day. He's been impressive in that 32 car today through a lot of challenges and circumstances.
Yeah, he has, and he's actually had some problems. Paul Menard wheel hop, got in the back of him, knocked him kind of off course. He had to come back from that. He got involved in another little incident where he got that right front fender or left front fender torn up, and now he's made his way back up to second place. And problem is his car is just about too beat up, I think, to be able to do anything with Carl Edwards, but he's going to give it all he has.
Would be a real shame if that left front tire doesn't last through these final few laps and get him a good finish.
Man, that guy can drive.
I'm feeling better about that tire now. We don't see near as much smoke, and the fact that it's made it this far makes me feel a little better about it.
Behind Edwards and Villeneuve, Brendan Gaughan. Adventurous day for him. Had an off-course excursion early in the race, then made a green flag pit stop just before a caution came out, which got him back all his track position. He's been up at the front of the pack for a lot of the rest of the race. And running in third right now. Ron Fellows' car with a big Band-Aid on the nose. Ron has not gotten up and led today's race yet, driving that Junior Motorsports 88. But one of the favorites entering the day has managed to bring himself back up into the 4th position. And his team car, J.R. Fitzpatrick, running in 5th. Had a spin back at lap 21. Had about 4 spins over the course of the weekend here. But may just pull a top 5 finish out of this thing yet.
Yeah, he's finally got it all together when it counts here at the end of the race.
Yep. Here's your championship leader, Brad Keselowski, 22 car.
Yeah, behind him you see Brad Coleman, and Coleman kind of got punted out of the way. You see that damage on the left front of Brad Keselowski. That's where he kind of punted Brad Coleman on one of the restarts, and Coleman now trying to recover.
I want you to look at everybody's left fronts. They're all tore up. Everybody's left fronts are tore up. Oh, man. Look at that left front.
Steve Wallace with some pretty significant front-end damage there on his car. So we've got 25 cars on the lead lap at the moment. We're down to 4 laps to go. Cleanup continues from all of the various gravel and debris and so on dropped onto the racetrack. And while we continue to await the restart and the final few, what I'm sure will be frantic laps in this race, let's check back down on pit road with Jamie.
Well, Alan, we don't get to hear from many of the ladies on pit road. So Tatum Gahn, the wife of Brendan Gahn, who's running 3rd right now on the pit box. I'm sure it's been exciting watching today, Tatum. But you're pregnant, and you guys just found out last week you're having a baby boy. So your husband must be ecstatic. There's going to be a new baby racer in Las Vegas.
He's very excited. Very, very excited.
What's it like for you traveling, watching him now, knowing you guys are due in just a few months?
It's actually getting harder and harder to go on all these trips, but I'm making it through. I'm going to try to go as long as I can.
Nothing would help than a win. If he can get up to the front running, great. And with that Father's Day note, want to say happy Father's Day to all of you guys in the booth.
Thanks, Jamie.
Pretty nice. Appreciate that. So Brendan Gahn there, running right now in 3rd position. Best finish of the season so far is 4th. So if he can survive these last couple of laps, he could up his season's best. More on the 32, Doc.
Yeah, guys, take a look around me. You notice anything different? I'm down here in the Jacques Villeneuve pit here, and ordinarily if I'm standing back here in the back of the pits, I'd be surrounded by crew guys. There's one guy here, but essentially the entire crew had to leave a moment ago to go catch a flight to go to Infineon where they're pitting cars tomorrow. They had to go ahead and leave, so there's a couple of guys left. They've actually got guys that have come down from Jason Leffler's team, which is the other Braun Racing team, to be here in case Jacques Villeneuve would have to pit. But these guys had to boogie. We're running overtime, so they had to catch a flight to go to California to work tomorrow.
Safe to say he's made his last pit stop.
Yeah. It's if that left front go, it's okay.
Yeah, they're really hoping that tire makes it now.
How about that? See the 6 car there up by the pace car. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is 2 laps down in 26th. He's about to get one of those laps back as the free pass under this caution. First car not on the lead lap. And so we should be coming to a restart, which is going to give us 3 laps to go in this race, plus the possibility of up to 3 green-white checkers. What a day it has been for Carl Edwards so far. Came back from California after qualifying his Sprint Cup car there 19th yesterday. Won the pole for this race this morning, late this morning here in Wisconsin. Started in that #1 spot and set off on the green flag. Led the opening 11 laps of this race and led by as much as 7 seconds at one point. Got shuffled back a little bit during the strategy. Some others staying on the track when he and some of the other front runners chose to stop and top off the fuel. That set Carl back 13th in line. Villeneuve got by him in this scramble down into turn 12.
And that was a power move right by Villeneuve also. And Carl out in the dirt, just driving hard.
Then picked his way back by Villeneuve with a crossover move. He began that restart to driver's left of the 32. Crossed over behind him and made the pass to driver's right into turn 1.
We've not seen anybody be able to do that from that side all day long, and Carl Edwards pulled it off.
Carl out in front by 2 seconds when this most recent yellow flag waved, and that is the adventurous day it has been for the driver of the 60, hoping to take that 50-pound trophy in that Harley-Davidson home with him. I say home because he's going back to the West Coast first to run another race tomorrow. Again, Carl starting the Sprint Cup Series race out at Infineon in 19th position tomorrow. So back through Canada corner, getting ready for the restart. Again, it's going to come with 3 laps to go. And anybody going to take any action on whether we're going to get to that checkered flag without another caution?
Man, I'm not betting on it. I'm not betting on it either. I think we're going to have some more cautions. It's going to be tough getting down to the turn 1. Carl's obviously got the inside lane getting into 1, which is the preferred position. But once you get down into turn 3 and leave that corner, you want to be on the other side to set up for that real fast turn 5. And we've seen Jacques Villeneuve get really set up on turn 5 and make some good passes there. I got to believe if he can hang with them on the exit of turn 3, whoever's on the inside has definitely got the preferred position getting in that fast turn 5.
Here's the thing I'll say. You can agree or disagree with me if you want to, but based on the way this day has unfolded, anything can happen.
But it's Carl's day from what I've seen.
It is Carl's day, but anything can happen. We will find out. Coming to 3 laps to go. Edwards, Villeneuve, gone. Fellows, Fitzpatrick, Keselowski, waiting to see the green flag. What Edwards hopes is for the final time today.
Bringing him down slowly.
Oh,
Here's
good
the restart
restart
zone, and he's got it.
Now, Jacques does the same thing Carl did. Got to the inside quick. Wow, Carl's just too strong right there. Just pulls him.
Fellows clears gone for 3rd spot. There's Paul Menard. His car beaten up a little bit, been knocked around some. 98 car. One of the stronger in the race for most of its distance. Down the hill. 55-foot elevation drop to turn 5. Heavy braking and a first gear left-hand corner.
Boy, take a look at Fellows. He's really closed up in the back of Jacques Villeneuve right now. Got a good bite up off of turn 5. Oh, Menard's off.
Up the hill, turn 6. Fitzpatrick looking underneath Keselowski there for that spot. Couldn't make it stick, and a car around off of turn 6. Mike Wallace off into the grass. He's got it running. We stay green.
That turn 6 has been a tough one. You know, you go up into turn 6, it's blind getting to the top, and we've seen a lot of wrecks up there.
Carousel corner.
Boy, this corner here, you just want to keep it low and just peel around that corner as much as you can. The guys are in 2nd gear right there.
And the kink. Almost afraid to say we haven't seen anybody really lose it off there today yet like we've expected.
Boy, if we do see somebody lose it there, it's going to be big because they're flying through that corner.
Guess I said it now. Challenge to the inside. Tony Ave looking on J.R. Fitzpatrick. Is he going to make the corner? Very nice. That'd be for 6th spot. Nice job for Ave and that whole 35 team today.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, their fenders are clean in the front. They're not tore up. Still got a good car underneath them.
One around. Victor Gonzalez Jr. That's back at Canada corner, turn 12. We stay under green. Edwards to the line. 2 laps to go as he crosses the stripe.
That's only 8 miles.
I know it.
A lot of racing still.
Boy, these cars, some of them look like bulldozers coming through this field. They're so tore up.
Fitzpatrick in the 7, Menard in the 98, Owen Kelly in the 27. Somebody's going to go around. I thought for sure. Wow. Nice job, Paul Menard, to get out of there.
Absolutely. Menard's been doing a great job, you know, controlling that car. He's had that nose in so many positions today that he shouldn't have it in, but he's pulled it off every time.
Hey, you know, Carl Edwards is not getting away from Villeneuve as much as he did that last run.
Well, he's got to buy a 2nd at this point.
Well, you're talking 2 laps to go, Andy. I mean, Carl doesn't want to wheel hop this thing, make a mistake right now.
Yeah, all he needs to do is just maintain a little gap.
Yeah. Just keep some air from him. Make us not have to drive so hard, so defensively. Is anybody that's on my bumper right now, I can't trust them. If they're behind me, I can't trust them at all. I don't know if they're going to slow down enough because of brake problems we're having now. No trust in my competitors at all.
It's Brad Coleman working on Paul Menard there, back for the 9th and 10th positions. Look at some of the front ends of these cars. We have had some contact today.
Not a clean car in the field.
A lot of these guys are going to take these cars over to Watkins Glen at Montreal.
Not without going to the body shop first.
Looks like they'll be putting brand new bodies on these cars.
Uh-oh, looks like something's wrong there with it's running out of fuel.
Villeneuve,
car out of fuel.
Backfiring.
Yeah, it's out of fuel.
Oh, boy. Running second. Less than 2 laps to go. There goes Fellows by.
Actually, the way it sounds, it's almost like he's lost voltage.
Yeah, I started to say it's running.
Remember his teammate, the 38 car, had an alternator problem earlier?
That's what that acts like when your volts get low. It just starts popping like that. And,
yeah. Oh, boy.
That doesn't sound like fuel.
So Villeneuve sliding back as they come toward the white flag. Right now he's back in 5th position.
Likely to lose a lot more spots here on this last lap.
Andy, would you say that's the most likely culprit right now?
Yep.
The battery problem?
Probably voltage, yes.
There will not be a green-white checker today. They could have had my money on that.
Around, bud.
Carl Edwards to the white flag. Doc?
And it is a motor issue with the 32 car. It is internal in the engine. It is popping and missing and sputtering and getting worse. They're going to try to milk this thing for one more lap and finish. What a gallant effort today. A gallant effort for Jacques Villeneuve.
Boy, Doc, you got that right. This guy has been a great driver today. He's really been flying. Hate to see this happen to this team.
So Carl Edwards now with a gap back to Ron Fellows of almost 3 seconds on his white flag lap. If he gets it around to the finish line, he'll have led 35 of the 50 laps today. It had its moments, but he has been dominant, that's for sure. Up the hill, turn number 6 for the final time.
Did not practice on Friday over in Sears Point qualifying the Cup car. He practiced a little test session they had on Thursday. He was the fastest car in that session.
He got on me the other day. I roughed him up a little bit for not testing in Kentucky. He said, hey, Rusty, I mean, come on. I'm trying to make
Tony Ave going around.
Both Ave and Paul Menard spun.
But I told Carl, you tested here, and you qualified great. Looks like he's getting ready to win this race. Just proves that practice is good.
It does help.
Off the carousel corner, down to the kink. And then he'll head for Kettle Bottoms for the final time in Canada Corner. Carl Edwards, less than half a lap from victory lane. Ford, winless so far, 2010. Remember, they told us a couple of weeks ago at Nashville, Jack Roush came out and said on a Ford media conference call, they had found some parts that weren't up to their specifications, had removed them, replaced them in their system, started running better that week at Nashville. A couple of second-place finishes for Carl, and now he's going to make it third week in a top 2 finish, and he's going to win this one.
Well, it sounds like Jack knows what he's talking about. His whole team has done a fantastic job for him.
Final time up the hill. The first name on the winner's trophy at Road America in the NASCAR Nationwide Series will be Carl Edwards. He dominates and wins the Bucyrus 200.
In the field all day long. Hell of a race car driver. One awesome race car driver. One more awesome race car. Great pit crew.
Had to do it the hard way. Had to come up through the field after making that caution flag pit stop.
Edwards winning by 4.3 seconds. Ron Fellows will finish second. Brendan Gaughan third. Brad Keselowski protects most of his point lead with a 4th place run. And Owen Kelly will round out the top 5.
Hell of a car. Great job.
It was all the magic shifter.
Yep. I think I'm taking a Sears Point now.
It sure didn't hurt.
All right, Doc, what are they saying down there? I'll bet they're happy.
Oh, they're still high-fiving down here. Drew Blickensurfer smiling at the crew. And, Drew, you can take a deep breath now. It is over, and you guys have pulled it off. Congratulations.
Thank you. You know, the fast dog Ford was fast all weekend, and once Carl got a hang of the place, the second practice, I mean, it really showed. A lot of hard work went off in the off season. We finished Fab Shop there in Mooresville. Robbie Reiser gives us everything we need, and Doug Yates and George Gable had a very strong motor here, so it was just a thrill to work on it.
What it turned it around for you guys, for Roush Fenway, the last 3 weeks, back-to-back second-place finishes and a dominating win today.
You know, I think we just went back to the drawing board and said, what were we doing when we won races? And we looked at everything really hard and strong, and the last 2 weeks have been really good for us at 1.5 and a 1.25 mile track, so hopefully we can carry that on next week after this weekend.
All right, first win of the year for Ford, first win for Carl Edwards, and what a performance today here at Road Atlanta. Alan?
Doc, thanks. Second road course win for Carl Edwards at Montreal last year, so actually making back-to-back road course wins in the Nationwide Series.
If you look at this car, it doesn't have a scratch on it. I think it's the only car in the field that's clean.
Carl has got the first win of each of his last 3 seasons now in the state of Wisconsin. Came in Milwaukee the last 2 years. This weekend's been a pretty good one for him in the Nationwide Series as he's won here up at Elkhart Lake. And for Carl Edwards, it is Roush Fenway Racing's 109th NASCAR Nationwide Series win, but just their second on a road course. Mentioned that Brad Keselowski finished 4th with Edwards winning. There's the gap between the two, 237 after race 15 of 35. It is New Hampshire next week for the Nationwide Series on the Magic Mile there. Tough day for Justin Allgaier. He is going to wind up finishing 35th after the part failure early in the race that left him 20 laps down and in the garage for quite a time getting repairs. Jason Leffler, Brendan Gaughan, Paul Menard all moving up spots in the standings. 4-mile victory lap. That takes a little while.
It does.
He's going to love this trophy. That's the thing he's going to remember the most. Absolutely winning an inaugural race is awesome, but boy, when you got some big iron to show for it, a motorcycle in that 50-pound trophy.
Help me out with something. Remember when Carl had the injury there and he couldn't do the flip for a while? Have we seen him do a flip since then?
I haven't seen one in a while. Well, he hasn't won in a while.
He's just driving into victory lane. He said, just give me the stuff.
Well, knowing that motorcycle's waiting there, I'd probably be driving in there too. He probably also wants to get the. Well, wait a minute now.
Maybe he's having second thoughts.
Wait a minute now.
Oh,
he just said on the radio, "I'm backing up to do my backflip."
You think he heard you, Alan?
No, I'm pretty positive of that.
And I just started to say he doesn't want to injure himself for tomorrow.
Here we go.
He won't. He does this a lot.
This will get a cheer from the fans.
Yeah.
Oh!
All right. Good job, Carl.
Much appreciated by the great Wisconsin race fans here at Road America today. Rough and rugged race, but Andy, just thinking about what you said a minute ago and looking at that car, you're right. Not a scratch on it, it doesn't look like.
I know. You look at every car coming down pit road, coming in the garage, they're all dinged up. It just shows you being out front, the place to be. Although he did have to pass a lot of cars, and he was in some tight spots at the end of this thing.
So now Edwards making his way into Road America's victory lane, nestled in the trees here alongside the front straightaway. Got that trophy and that Harley-Davidson motorcycle in there. His crew running in there to join him as well. And breaking the dry spell in 2010 for Ford, for Roush Fenway Racing, and for Carl Edwards as he gets his first win of the year here today on the road course in Road America.
Well, that 1,500-mile trip all the way back to California is a beast now. Be a lot nicer.
All right, while Carl gets situated in victory lane, let's hear from some of the other top finishers. Jamie?
Brendan Gaughan brings it home third, his best finish of the year. A wheelman. Take us through your first time here at Road America.
I mean, I was back here back in the early 90s, but these heavy cars are so much different, and the South Point camera was great today. I screwed up early. Brad made a great call. We got the lucky thing where you got to pit road before the light went red. So it's great pit strategy. And, I got to apologize to Paul Menard. I was looking at Ron Fellows in my mirror coming up to turn 6, and I looked back forward, and he hit the brakes, and I just lifted him up. And I feel bad because Menard is a great guy. I love racing with him, and I kind of did him wrong in turn 6. But great day for the South Point Camry, so I'll take a third and another good day in the points.
Great day for Brendan Gaughan. Let's go over to Alan Bestwick.
All right, back in victory lane, Carl Edwards is ready to exit from his car. Let us hear from today's winner, Michael.
And Carl climbing out of the car. Rousing applause from his team, getting doused with the Gatorade, vitamin water, I should say. Wow, we talked about the crazy weekend you had in store, jetting back and forth between two totally different road courses, yet you mastered this one. How were you able to do it so easily with so little time practicing here?
First thing is the guys at the shop. They built this race car, and it's a really special race car. Boris said helped me a lot. My buddy Ted Schwartz back in Columbia and Paul Menard helped me so much. Not just with the airplane, but he was so fast here, it made the difference. I got to thank Fastenal. This is Fastenal's first win, and if you like a hardware store, you love Fastenal, and they gave us a neat motorcycle, and I made a deal with Lonnie Klaus. We're gonna auction this motorcycle off on Copart.com, and the money's gonna go to Back to Back Ministries for an orphanage that he's starting. So a really special win for me, and man, I got to thank Aflac, Ford, everybody, but these guys, they built a great race car.
It's been a long time since we saw you do a backflip. What's it like to finally get back to victory lane?
It feels good. I mean, to race with Jacques Villeneuve all day, to hold off Ron Fellows at the end, I mean, it's just cool. I got to say Happy Father's Day to my dad. I called him today. I got a whole new respect for him now that I'm a father, and the trophy's going to you, Dad. So just hi, Kate. I love you, and Annie, Mom, Dad, everybody, Jim. Thanks. I wish you guys were here. This is really special to me. It feels good.
You talk about holding off Jacques Villeneuve. You had a very large lead until the caution came out. What was that restart like with 3 to go?
Man, I just try to do everything that I can to do it right. And then I started hearing noises in the transmission. I thought third gear was coming apart, so I didn't know whether to shift from second to fourth or what I should do. And it held together. And man, Jack Roush, everybody, thank you for sticking behind me, and thank the guys at the shop for building this race car. They put a lot of effort into it, but man, it's cool for Fastenal. We got like 1,000 Fastenal people here, so that's going to be a lot of fun to get some pictures with them. It just means a lot.
Congratulations.
Thank you, the fans.
Carl Edwards back in victory lane for the first time in 2010. Alan.
All right, Michael, thank you. Next weekend it is on to New Hampshire for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Hope you'll join us Saturday at 2:30 Eastern on ESPN for our coverage of that. And up next, NHRA Thunder Valley Nationals qualifying from Thunder Valley. Of course, we're well past our scheduled off time because of the lengthy 30-minute red flag, so we do have to leave the air now. But a great opening weekend for NASCAR and Road America. Carl Edwards dominated the day, but had to fight hard for it at the end. He's your winner. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.